On today's episode of Let's Talk FGO, we're going to talk to you about the biggest quality of life update, I think, ever? It's pretty good. I don't know. Also, Imaginary Scramble is out, and funnily enough, the main interlude of Imaginary Scramble is added to JP. Gee, I wonder why that is. Anyway, I'm one of your hosts, no one in particular. And with me, as always, the Ocean Man, Lucky.
Right back this time. Everyone, I hope you are all enjoying Fate Grand Order, aka Underneath the Sea. And while we here at Studio Mega like to bring you the latest and FGO-related news and memes, we will be talking about current and future events about the JP and EA version of the game, so anyone not wanting spoilers should never give Mash a cocktail.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if it's not alcoholic. You just
cocktail.
You can't present her with the concept of alcohol. And yes, I brought the Ocean Man joke back. Some people at least listened to the end of Wanted Nemo, where I actually did it was unscripted, but I did a bit about the music selection in the front, because I used a chunk of Holy Diver. And I was like, I could have gone, Ocean Man, Yellow Submarine, a lot of things. So listen all the way to the end for extra jokes.
Jokes and jokes.
But before we get into more of our funny haha times, I would like to remind everybody this episode is brought to our patrons like Adam Harp, Architect 10, Bugs to G, Carlos, Dragon, Ferris, Jeremy Vasquez, Justin Fay, John Sandoval, Legendary Boss Hunter, Regent Raptor, Rise of Kenji, Rogue Robyn, Shervor, Sean Pryor, Some Gun and Bob, Simon Tennessee, and Varian the Crow. If you like what we do and want to see us do more, consider supporting us on Patreon. You get access to episodes early, lots of other goodies. Really helps us out. Really appreciate that stuff. It'll, help Lucky get his underwater tablet and his aquatic art, his outer space Adobe programs. I don't know. Trying to make the references. It's not easy. Being cheesy. Or green. I don't know. There's a lot of things it's not easy about, y'all. But you know it is easy. Listening to Let's Talk FGO. Just remember to keep us dialed down a little bit. You don't want to, alert the Russian submarines. It's like Hunt for the Red October. Actually, I'll have to pay attention to the script. We'll see if there's any references worked in there.
There might be.
It is a pretty dense script. Well, but we'll be talking about that later in our free talk segment after Mailbag. Because, new event, new impressions, new stuff.
Yay.
But we have a handful of our regular bee's knees to go through. I started off by pushing a certain button, and we check on their Vivid Kohai, who may or may not be drunk.
Senpai! 起きてください.
It's time for Break the Fuck Up Senpai Pro Tips. I don't have a really big one today, but I do want to let you guys know, after a big, engine update and stuff, the actual amount of, update size for this update for FGO, the app was very compact. But I believe if you want to get access to all your maximum smoothness and less load times and stuff, you got to re-download the data. That's about 5 gigabits. So probably want to pay attention to that one. I did that earlier today, and it's great. The buttery smoothness. But this is just a little head up to remind you that, and in fact, if you are having problems with connecting, loading, etc. excessively, if you have room on your phone, try it out. It caches the data locally, so you don't need to access it from the server so much. But let's move on then to Rackets from the Throne, our regular achievement topic.
So, it's me this week. And I will say, I did 2 10 spins, and I got all the event CEs plus 1 steno.
Yeah, guys, this is something that's just for me and Lucky, but I have to communicate to you. He has managed to Zalgo text the steno, and it mocks me. It's deeply terrifying. It bleeds up into the topic header.
And I'll do this for everybody.
All right, you'll take the print screen. I was considering it. Yeah, there you go. Patrons can see. Support us on Patreon. You too can get these jokes. Plain and simple, but on theme, on brand. So not all the world's evil, but damn close. It me. Hi. So I did my traditional 10 spin for CEs, like everybody does. Yeah. So I was rewarded with an NP2 woo, and 1 singular 4-star event CE. There were several other 4-star CEs that were not event CEs. They have been placed in the garbage where they belong. But I hope that this is not the start of a new meme, please. I still haven't gotten any more. We're at 8. We haven't gotten any more stenos, but I fear for my safety. Oh, and I didn't write this down on the list, but I should say it. I've been talking about it. Quite a few people had a lot of super luck on the pre-release banner. I had 10 tickets and did the full 11 pulls. I did not have any luck. I didn't get anything that wasn't silver, both servants and CEs, so oof. I will continue to hoard in the stockpile. we'll see what happens. I've got, a couple of weekly tickets and probably monthly tickets. Oh, yeah, actually, that reminds me. There's something I need to jot down in Skelegrams. It wasn't a normal announcement, but it happened while I was writing script. Did somebody put that news disc? No. It is in Let's Talk for dates.
But if you can understand this by what we've written down, no, Lucky has not actually busted out his wallet. Like I said, jury's not event's not over. Betting pool is still live. But, right now, while I do consider Van Gogh to be quite endearing and adorable, nothing has particularly made me go, I need this person right now in my life.
Hey, we just figured out there's got to be another raid up.
Yeah.
Yeah, place your bets, everybody. And admittedly, my desire for Nemo is very high, because Nemo is rad, but permanent.
Yeah.
So
I am fully confident that when I do lose my mind and my wallet at some point, Nemo will show up.
Yeah.
I have a very good track record with this so far.
It's no need to worry about that. I don't have a great track record, but I'm willing to roll those dice, because Nemo is a writer and not a caster. Not specifically exactly Tamamo caster. Then again, Odysseus didn't go great either, but that time was my fault. I put money on that one. Put a lot of stake courts and quite a little bit of cash into that banner.
Yeah, I think the only two permanents right now that are floating in my have do not have yet list is Odysseus and Nemo now. So
yeah,
I'm not too worried about it.
But yeah, I just wanted to throw those out there because I'm sure people are curious about my memery with assassins. We'll see. Go is adorable, but the year of reckoning, the day of fate, edges ever closer. As you guys will see later from some of our notes. But it's time to check in and ask you, did you finish your master missions? Possible. So, to complete your master missions this week, you need to perform 30 FP summons. Make sure to roll for them freebie CEs. You need to defeat 5 servants with the king trait, 3 servants with the evil alignment. I guess also technically that's kind of like a trait. I don't really know how the programming checks for that. Defeat 3 heaven attribute servants. Complete 5 quests and then 10 quests. Now, interestingly enough, and I believe I read somewhere that these were actually for Gouda Gouda when it was out. So our current event will not help you a lot. There are not a lot of servant fights in in Imaginary Scramble. Scrambling my tongue. There are a few in story, but obviously those will be paced out by your requirement to earn void points. So you probably will need to do some other stuff for this. The 5 quests in the FP summon are pretty easy. Your best trick is hit up Fuyuki. That'll get you some evilest servants. And then I believe the cheapest for heaven is Okeanos? Let me figure out where. Yeah, so you need to run... okay, so for the 5 king, it's Fuyuki number 0 specifically. That's evil, and then also gets you king. And then Okeanos Quiet Bay is 3 heaven attribute servants if you do it 3 times for the lowest AP. So keep that in mind if you want your sweet, sweet master missions. But okay. Woo. Good. 10 minutes. Time for the big one. Let's move into Skelegrams.
Nah.
And obviously, as this is very close to the eve of All Hallows, normally I would include some spooky, scary skeletons here, but we have gotten rustled by that in the past, and, I would really hate to take a YouTube copyright strike kneecap at this stage in the year. That would be very unfortunate. But we have the Great Void Sea Battle Imaginary Scramble launching, announced by Chaldea Broadcasting Station number 16. Started the 27th of October, going until the 9th of November. The general event outline is basically exactly like it was in last show when we did the pregame, so go check that out if you want to, be sure about all that fun stuff. We did meet our social media goals for 6 Saint Courts and got 10 Saint Courts for the stream. It was, in fact, a stream. It was a little late, actually. They went a little over time because it took them about 10 minutes to get everything juiced up and get all the hamsters running their routers going down at Aniplex USA. Hopefully we can correct that one next time.
I don't know. I'm a little worried about their North American production value at this moment when it comes to streams. Sometimes they're pretty good, but many times they're just kind of...
Yeah, the ironic thing is the best streams they've done and premieres have been ones where they recorded it in Japan and just pipped in Albert.
Yeah.
With the green screen. I appreciate the effort, because, for instance, Edmura-san was here in person live in English. So like, and I think he said this is the first time he'd done a presentation entirely in speaking in English as well.
Yes.
So like, it's cool that they're bringing these people out. And honestly, at this rate, I will not, Dev Diaries and stuff, making more appearances at conventions. I would not be shocked if at one of our, like, American Chaldea broadcasting stations, like, Albert doesn't, like, open a closet door and Nissan steps out at this stage, right?
Right.
The problem is that he would have to step out of a closet door because they're just shooting this out of a conference room in their office space. Which is not a problem if you can pull it off. It just seems that, like, obviously they're pretty rusty. Most of the streams they've had have been pre-recorded, and while we were waiting for them to show up, I wondered like how long it had been since they streamed last. The last Chaldea broadcasting station, number 15, that was Lost Belt 5 Part 2. It was like 4 months ago, so hopefully they're just a little rusty and need to kick the tires a little bit. Apparently they had a staff of some of the producers and other people standing behind the camera, so maybe they'll be motivated to do a little better next time. I think Albert did the best he could with just somebody handed him the printer sheets, for the stream. So didn't even have his 3-ring binder.
Oof.
So I hope that we can improve the quality there. And definitely whatever tech side delayed them, I hope they can be better about, because Albert was very rushed at the end, and I feel kind of bad for him because like it's all like, as we're about to talk about, it's a lot of news. There's a lot of stuff to go through, and it's just like, you're 10 minutes late and now you're 5 minutes over your time slot, and I don't actually know if, even though it's only like, 8 o'clock at night, I don't know if somebody wants the conference room back, It is sometimes like that at offices, so...
Well, no, it might have been because, there are, after hours, they might have been pulling in overtime,
Yeah, true. That could also be it. It's technically
such thing.
after work hours, so if they stay too late, like...
Yeah, because I'm assuming they were in California, so
Yeah.
Pacific Standard Time, so... I mean, it's not unheard of for, like, places to be open up late, but I can't imagine, like, people, like, staying too long past, 6 or 7.
Yeah.
So...
It's definitely the kind
been,
of thing that, it gets a little...
I'd imagine like this might have been like the last thing everyone had to do before everyone can clock out and go home. So they're like moving on.
But yeah, so hopefully they can get their production value up a little.
Well, that means it's even later. Well, I know Aniplex US is headquartered in California. But...
yeah, I don't actually know where Albert's conference room office is. I believe they've talked about it as in Pacific Time in California before, but like I said, they've moved around a little. So
yeah,
I don't actually know where the quote unquote HQ of the Fate localization through Aniplex is. So, but yeah, no. Hopefully they can, like I said, get that together a little bit. And as silly as it sounds, getting a dedicated stream room goes a long way, guys. If you're gonna do this kind of stuff, just steal an office nobody's using, throw a couch in it, put a green curtain in the back, get some big fucking lights, and let's go.
In a dedicated audio rig. Jesus.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing that bugs me the most is hearing their stream audio, and then they do the video, and things just get literally like 3 times louder, and you're just like...
Yeah, they're just recording room audio on somebody's... I think somebody did have like a sound mixer, but because there was a part where like they switched the audio feeds and they were still muted a little bit. But yes, no, when you cut to the video that was recorded by Minami Tanaka and Saitos VA, whose name escapes me at this moment, like they're in a studio somewhere in Japan wearing, clip-on lav mics, right? Battery-powered shit, and Kaitushika, thank you. And like they have the little insert screen graphics given to them and stuff, and it's got like, I mean, it was pre-recorded, so obviously that's easier, but still, it's just like immensely better production value. And obviously, as the actual like audio talent, it makes sense. But also, Tanaka runs like an FGO radio show, like so that already has better production values. They have a little when they do that, they have a little room with the boom mics. It's very, very radio looking, which is also honestly kind of how we probably look. It's just we're not in a little room together. But temporospatially, if we just like if you imagine that wherever Lucky's desk is and wherever my desk are, that we're like opposite sides. That's about how it is. I'm wearing headphones. I'm speaking into a boom mic. I have many, many monitors. I'm blinded by the white light of our show notes because Google Docs won't give you night mode. I still don't know why.
It burns us.
But yes, we had some fun, sitting there with everybody, watching the stream, getting on, watching everything slowly melt down. But we did get a fuck ton of quality of life updates, as I elucidated. I believe this was the big switch to the new version of Unity, and that allowed them to implement a lot of things to catch up with all the small things that JP has. So, first of all, you can now more easily select the same party for quests. There's a third little button when you go to repeat a quest. You can just tap it, literally use the same party. And if you back out, it will tell you what your previous party setup was, the last one you used, so, for that quest. So, you can make it a lot easier to get in there. You can now tap to speed skill animations. Skills taking too long? Tap to skip. Go faster, much sooner. And now, I think probably well, no, not quite the biggest one, but one of the bigger ones. You've got new resolution options in the My Room options. You can pick low res if your phone or other device is on the lower end and you want more juice. But you can also now select high quality for buttery, smooth frames. So smooth, so buttery. I
on toast.
Hurt my eyes when I first turned it on. It was so smooth. I had to adjust my vision for my eyes to move at this speed.
Vision adjust.
Yeah, no, but also, no, seriously, I've, like I said, I did the data download earlier and I've been running in high quality mode since. I think it is eating through my battery slightly faster.
Makes sense.
As you might expect, yeah, but, otherwise, no real problems, and it's just, it looks great. Like,
oh, damn it, Ark.
I think it is simply just that we scaled up from 30 to 60 FPS, and y'all know, I'm not a big frame rate guy. We started streaming Plague Store Requiem on Monday, and I was watching Lucky, stream out to me on my TV on my machine, and I didn't really notice any, significant, oh, this looks bad, because it was only 30 frames. But for something that is as visually simple as FGO, kicking up the refresh rate and how fast the frames are being produced really does make everything, really fast. Yeah, it does help when you're on the higher speed, it makes the animations less choppy because you get more frames in between. So, it looks really good, guys. I'm a little shocked at just, how crisp everything looks when you activate high quality.
I actually haven't tried it yet. I'm definitely going to have to do that.
Yeah, kick it up, see what's up. And like I said, if you have a lower-end phone, if you're on the lower end of those minimum requirements, there is a low-res mode. I don't know what it looks like, but it's good. Also, in that options menu in My Room, this is one of the things I've been looking forward to, you can now turn off and skip that little dialogue box that says no battles or you'll create before battle, etc. before quests.
Oh, nice.
Activate new mode. But the big one that people have been waiting for is our next pip. Additional support setups. You now have, I believe is it 10? 10 total support setups? You can set, I know you for sure you can set a maximum of 6, 3 in each of your normal and event. Yeah, it is 10. Okay. So yeah, now you have a full 10 support setups. You can set different sets of servants in them. Now, when you set them as normal or event, there cannot be overlap. So if you've got, for instance, hypothetically, if you're lucky, and you have, Tamamo in your caster slot in one support setup, that is just your normal-ass support setup. And then you've got Oops, All Foxes support setup. If you try and make Oops, All Foxes your normal setup, it'll be like, yo, you have overlap here, buddy.
I haven't really been messing with that yet.
Yeah, I haven't tried really hard to make it work, because, hey, guess what? While I do have loads of event bonus servants, I don't have any extra CEs, so I already only have, 4. So that would just give me more CE-less servants. I guess technically I have 5, because while my phone is plugged in and charging up right now, I did buy my first copy of the event CE, so... But still, yeah. It seems neat, though. And in general, I think it's going to alleviate the problems people have had where certain support servants, especially of the caster variety, tend to trend. So, you now can have all 3. You can have Merlin, Castoria, and Scotty on 3 different support setups. Nobody needs to cry about it. You've got an all slot. You can put waivers in there, too. Go nuts, kids.
I'll probably go a little nuts.
So, hopefully, that should help everybody, find supports they want better and allow more people to show off more supports because you can, throw more stuff up there, see more things. It's good.
Very nice.
We got a boatload of animation tweaks for NPs and sprites. I do not think this is a full animation update for all these characters.
I believe it's just little changes here.
Yeah,
and
but
there.
it's the sprite update, and it's still some of them will be getting more refreshed, because I saw, for instance, Ushi and Killigitler on that list. I'm trying to remember the URL to the FGO official website, fate-go.us, by the way, because I want to go actually look at this list. Because it is... Alright, it was Gawain, Saber Lancelot, Tesla, Tristan, Lancer Artoria, Benkei, Boudica, Ushi, Teach, Georgios, Casterku, Caligula, Amakusa and BB. The BB updates, for instance, I think is just making it so that her costumes show in her NP. So she is tan or not tan, depending. Stuff like that. Not anything crazy, but, polishing up some of them sprites, some of them sweet moves. Most of these servants are not bonus servants, so I haven't really had an opportunity to eyeball them because I've been busy. There's a lot of clicking in this event.
A lot of clicking.
But the other thing was, I think basically everybody who didn't already got a full screen NP. Like, the list is long, extensive. It's a lot of servants, so yeah, now you should get full screen NP on most, if not everybody. Patrons tab still open. Let's close that. Make this flow a little faster. You can now tap through leveling faster. So, you can tap through some of the animations, but now you can speed along. I think you can move through the dialogue quicker and some of the other stuff. There are improvements to command codes, better filters if you're trying to search for a specific command code, and now it is easier to move command codes as well. If you want to take a command code off a card and put it on another card, so long as all those cards are unlocked, you can just do it. So, little adjuster there. Speaking of some of our speed, command hands are also now animated faster.
Okay.
So you'll notice when you're tapping on the command cards, and then when you hit OK, we actually go to fighting faster. So the whole experience is just quicker and smoother in general with battle.
Streamlined.
Yep. This is one that I've been asking about. That's why I put an exclamation point there. You can now claim multiple master missions at once.
Nice.
I believe this extends also to limited time and extra mission blocks as well. So very handy feature to get in, especially for the future. But yeah, now you don't have to tap through every single individual master mission. You can just be like, yep. Hopefully they can work this into the code for upcoming mission-based events as well. I know that current mission-based events have this feature, but we have not, and I want it. Individually clicking every little, mission complete takes a while. We now have the first-time NP speed option added, so this is a feature if you want to make sure that you see an NP for the first ever time in regular speed. If you extra speed NPs, you can set it. There is a new feature as well. If you're doing interludes, you can now pick whether you want the story support version or you want to use your copy of that servant.
Oh, okay.
So, for instance, if your version is better than the NPC one, not always the case, because sometimes NPCs will be like, 10 MP4, which is hard for some of us. But you can now select whether or not you want to use your version or not. So that should help people who have, Grailed servants or have already highly leveled them and maxed out all their skills, depending. So, pretty good stuff there. Right. Next bullet point, easier UI for craft essences. So basically, wherever you can select craft essences from a list, they've cleaned that up a little. And specifically for quests, they said that for, party selection, the news article describes that if you go back to the CE select screen after having selected a CE, that CE no longer appears in the, normal spot where it was. It goes to the bottom of the list automatically.
Okay.
So you don't need to worry about accidentally clicking the thing that you clicked once and then now it's in your way. It, should scooch out of the way a little bit. Also, they did this, there's another little update. They made it easier to tell where you're getting your FP. So when it gives you that, most FP gained from whatever, it now says that servant's name and includes their image.
Yes, I did notice that. I thought it was lovely.
And it will actually specify who for normal and who for event as well.
Yeah, no, my Tamamo has literally been getting the most points for normal. I'm like, yes, as she should.
When I logged in today, mine was my normal support Mordred, who is level 100, 10. But yeah, so it's nice. It's just one of those little UI things that's like, oh, this pops so much better.
Mm-hmm.
Visual cues. Now, there are two things that were advertised on the list on stream, but it was announced after maintenance, which was 5 hours, by the way. Really had to make sure this stuff all worked. That while making sure all this stuff worked, there were two things that did not, in fact, work. So they had to inform us that these two things are not being added yet. The first was summon history, and I believe everyone's theory on why this didn't work is because the summon history feature was added when they added the pity system. So this would allow you to track exactly like when and whomst you're summoning and what your rolls were, I believe, so you can check where you're going for pity. And I'm gonna guess that without pity activated, it probably did not work correctly.
Probably not, but it probably does mean that they are putting in the framework to get the pity system in.
Yes. I would guess that is probably not a code-based problem. That is a, oops, how do we handle all these rotating banners problem? Because they probably don't want to necessarily screw people out of rotations or banner setups. Like, for instance, they would not have updated pity normally without having to reorganize the banners for this event, because I think, like, literally a day or two after the double rate up banner, it switches to like solo Van Gogh and then solo Nemo the next day, etc. So your pity options would have reset very, very rapidly, assuming they haven't, figured out how to clean that up. So far, I do not think so. But they're definitely probably working on that. I assume that's probably, like I said, more of a management question. The second one was they were going to add the follow function, so you can follow people who you aren't friends with to get their support setups. For main story stuff. Currently through part 1, they were going to add this for, I think it was for EUR and all the way up to Lost Belt 5. That also did not work. I'm not entirely sure why not. I suspect, though, it may also have to do with just the fact that I'm pretty sure the follow expansion happened later in the story. So it may, have code that correlates to chapters we don't have yet in NA. So, yeah. Interesting. I have noticed that while it does seem like obviously a lot of cool things are happening in FGO, they do seem to occasionally have to do some repairs later. There was a app update for JP that resolved a lot of bugs and issues with the Halloween event they're doing right now, for instance. Still got a few display bugs and stuff, advanced menus. But that's not all. We have some JP news. As predicted that they would come up with something to fill in those, last weekish of Halloween time before whatever's going on next. First of all, JP Twitter announced that they hit 2 million followers.
Nice.
And everybody gets 10 sync quartz. So, if you can stand Twitter, consider following the FGO USA account, because this gives us sync quartz. It gives them an excuse to get us more sync quartz faster. But also, as I alluded to earlier, Imaginary Scramble, main interlude added in JP. Starts the 26th. The main interlude campaign goes until the 30th of November. And, I think it's very obvious now. We already thought of this with what they were doing with the lineup of the original Yamatai Koku and then the sequel. Losengal is clearly doing synergy now.
Or
they are absolutely attempting to, I don't know why exactly, other than I guess it just makes it easier for their workers, but events seem to be being correlated between our two servers.
Well, even though they're ahead of us, I do think that if everyone is basically, on the same event, it does basically broadcast a greater sense of global community.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Yeah, it makes sense because, like I said, marketing-wise, it probably means that your guys aren't, working on that many different sets of assets, right? Obviously you need to do the translation, but, it's probably pretty easy to affix the main interlude, banner graphics and all that stuff. And just in general, it seems like it's a good way to, honestly, get more attention on the internet. You get more tags about stuff, more posts, etc. Get more trending, get more content creation, etc., etc. It just lines up better. And like I said, I do think it shows that they're more clearly paying attention to the fact that even though JP server is for JP and there are a lot of restrictions being added about different play stores and their economics and stuff, that the devs are aware of the wider global audience and the fact that, everybody in NA probably can, read through the power of the internet what's going on in JP.
Yeah.
So it's just good. So Scramble is unlocked in main interlude. If you cleared Lost Belt 4, it is free. You do not have to spend rare prisms even after this period. So they also have another feature. Van Gogh is getting a second interlude. I do not believe it is out yet. It is just a St. Quartz interlude. So, but still free St. Quartz. And both will be available even if you haven't summoned her, so letting you catch up on your story. And they have announced 2 summon banners. Again, talking about that, pity system effect. One banner is Nemo and Summer Fran. One banner is Go and Summer Raiko. So yeah, rerun banners, updates. Kind of a little sad there's not a Nemo rank up in there. Feels like that would have been an easy one, guys. But with main interlude, you can at least have fun if you have a Nemo, because you get all your buffs. And plus 100% damage. Actually, That's a good question. During main interlude, do you get event bonus damage?
I don't know.
I haven't paid enough attention to my OQ main interlude for the moment. Actually, do we get OQ main interlude, or did we just get the rerun? I'm trying to remember. Is it only in JP? I can't remember times and dates. This is why the synergy is good, because it makes it easier to talk about this game. Having my brain space stretch over 2 years, I'm like, wait, did that happen already? Or did we just get the rerun? And then we get the main interlude. We get the CCC main interlude. I've poked that a few times. That didn't have damage bonus, though. Wow, I'm gonna drink some more water, and I'm gonna lay off the sugar and caffeine for a little bit. My brain is just doing fucking forward somersaults. I was thinking to myself, I was gonna say, what is time? And then my brain immediately stopped, edited, cut that out, and was like, what is love? I'm like, God damn it, brain, that's not helpful right now. But there is one more interesting campaign that has been announced and started in JP. So, what they are calling Singularity Repair Support Campaign, starting on the 27th, going to the 30th of November. So, in case it wasn't clear from that one, honestly, I would call this a part 1 Do Better campaign, but yeah, they're calling it Singularity Repair Campaign. All of part 1's story is 0 AP during this time. Literal free real estate. In the MP shop, you can purchase 10 additional leyline stones, 3 for 1 MP and then 7 for 10. And these stones do not expire until December 31st. Very good sync there. Yeah, so obviously, if you are still in part 1, you can use these to help you clear difficult boss fights. But if you're well out of part 1, there's still stuff for the rest of us, because that's more leyline stones that'll be available after LB7, yes. They'll still be good, as far as we know. There is a login campaign, login for several days to get 6 Saint Quartz, some Embers, and some Friend Points. Some 5-star Embers, by the way. Let me actually recheck exactly, because I wrote this in my notes as I read it as double leveling, but is that double EXP, or is that double suck chance? Okay, it's double suck chance. But it's double suck chance on all the servants you get for free in part 1. So every time, when you... Remember when we would clear singularities and we would get servants? Though I guess technically that did kind of force them to make a 3-star servant every time and have them be relevant. But yeah, it's, so that's Cascu, Kiyohime, Boudica, David, Jekyll, Geronimo, Bedivere, and Jagroman. So, double chance on those guys. This is an interesting one. They added a new dialogue box to set up the next singularity when you clear one. So if you clear a singularity, a little, dialogue box will open, which will kind of, tell you about the next one. Yeah.
Next time.
Yeah, basically. It's really interesting. It kind of shocks me that they didn't come up with this sooner, but I guess it makes sense for it to work once they actually have all the singularities written. I can't imagine you could implement this for, Lost Belts, because the rate of Lost Belts coming out is weird. So, it's a cute little feature. We do also have some summon banners for this, and they appear to be taking a interesting way around the pity rotation problem. Whereas there is, basically so far there are 2 banners that themed off the first 2 singularities, but halfway through this banner being up, it basically switches to a completely different rate up. So it allows them to have one summon banner in the menu, but the rate up and the pity will eventually change. Mm-hmm. So for instance, banner 1 starts with regular Jean, Saber Giles, Mary, and then, I think it's about after a week, but it might be 2 weeks, it's going to switch to rate up of Jolter, Zerxalot, Caster Giles. So yes, Jolter rate up. And then banner 2 is currently Altera, Stheno, Alexander. I feel very bad for anybody who has to roll on that banner for anything. And then it will flip to Waver, Cat, Boudica. Tomo Cat, by the way, in case you couldn't tell. I suspect, especially because this is going to last basically all of next month, we will probably see some more Singularity banners over the course of this time period. So this just seems like a really neat way. Yes, the pity resets when the rate up changes, but the rate up will basically stay on those 3, and then halfway through, without them actually physically needing to inject new banner assets or give you a new thing to click through, it'll switch to a different rate up. So, for instance, if you're like, Jean, Saber Giles, and Mary, that doesn't make any sense. I'll wait for Jolter, So yes, the pity resets when they switch, but it also switches to literally a completely different banner. So, the rate ups are entirely different, and for the Jolter one, I assume that you can't roll Jolter until she comes on rate up on that banner.
Yeah, probably.
All the rest of these guys are permanent, so hypothetically, I think you can get spooked. It's just not likely, but yeah. This will probably, like I said, probably get more interesting as they continue on a little bit later, because there'll be more chances for, like, story-locked units and stuff. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I suspect there will be more Singularity-themed banners. Yeah, I guess. I mean, all these guys, all of these 4-stars so far are possible on tutorial rolls anyway. So, I don't know. Permanent 4-stars are just... I got loads of those guys. I have several of those guys at NP5. Thanks, playing the game for like 5 years, so I don't know. It's I get spooked by non-read up 4-stars a lot, so we'll see what the happenings there. Actually, also technically, for some kind of Halloween banner, I'm sure there's been an actual Carmelo raid up within like the last year or so, surely. But yeah, we have this. These will be interesting to see if they do them, because they can catch up on servants who are story locked, for instance, in those 5 and 4-star slots. Also, in general, I'm going to say this seems to be, because I think they've alluded to that there will be an event in November that requires LB6 cleared. I believe they said that they have an LB6 clear event coming up, and that's not accounting for the fact that 7 is still supposed to be this winter, so presumably this year. So, I assume that this Singularity Repair campaign with the 0 AP is like, hey, we've got 2 million Twitter followers, we're very popular. They're announcing new projects all the time, so this is going to be like okay, you need to move through your Lost Belts, here you go. Get ready to clear through Part 1, and then it's half AP. Actually, I don't know, it might be quarter AP right now. Anyway, it's 0 AP for all of Part 1 if you are a JP player, like if you're, working on an alt, or you happen to have recently started the game. Big human. There's a lot you can do when you're on 0 AP. Alright, and then I added this one in the last minute, but... it was also just announced today by the FGO Twitter that at Anime NYC there will be an FGO panel.
Yay.
And it will be quite a quality panel. So the actual panel will be the 19th of November, and the guests are announced. It will include Aiko Kawasubi, voice of Artoria Pendragon, but also Kano Yoshiki, Nissan. They got him wearing the 2 shirt for the headshot, and Shizuka Kurosaki. Like I said, my motor mouth is terrible today. It's Shizuka Kurosaki, who is an Aniplex producer, and you may remember her recently from coming out to talk about some of Aniplex's animation projects during their little Aniplex web festival.
Yeah, this is the woman who's basically had her finger in just about every Fate media work for a very long time.
Yeah, so obviously while the panel is FGO themed, I assume if she's coming out, there's probably going to be other localization type announcements.
Yes.
Like, probably updates on Witch of the Holy Night, and maybe some, talking about some anime licensing stuff. When they announced the Strange Fake special, Albert did actually show up to talk about how they're planning, like, truly simultaneous release. So maybe we'll get some more details on that.
That'd be good.
So, yeah. In general, the placement being November 19th, that is about a week before Thanksgiving. So I'm going to guess that it's probably going to be the announcement of the Thanksgiving event, banners, rewards, etc. And probably going to be an announcement of dates, not necessarily going to say they're going to start, but announcement of dates on the Heian-Kyo pre-release. Because remember, there's a pre-release for Heian-Kyo, just like there was for Imaginary Scramble. We might get like an early hint of roughly when Heian-Kyo is going to start, but that is still smack in the middle of November, and like I said, they have a pre-release on Thanksgiving to chew through, so we might see like the CM, and some promo images.
Megan, what's the chance that they'll smash the pre-campaign and Thanksgiving together, you think?
I think decent. We kind of had a little bit of a similar overlap because it wasn't quite like literally smashed together, but for us very recently, FGO wasn't afraid to do their special unique Halloween campaign and then also the Imaginary Scramble pre-release. Kind of without any preamble. Like, they just kind of happened. So, I suspect that, like, for sure, we're probably going to get, like, very clear, we're doing the Thanksgiving campaign and banner, and it is probably going to start, like, tomorrow. They will announce the pre-release. The pre-release might also start right away, but that's not guaranteed, I don't think. And then, like I said, probably some hint of when it will start, though it is as usual, Thanksgiving itself is a Thursday. I don't know how that lines up for our events. So let's see, the 19th is... Yeah, the 19th, I could see them starting the pre-release right then, and then maybe... Huh? Ow! Sneeze. Sorry about that. Okay, the 19th is a Saturday. Thanksgiving is always a Thursday. And then there's Black Friday. So depending on when our events actually line up, I could see it, like, starting that weekend. But the Thursday date itself is a little awkward. We'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't know if they will literally mash them together, but they might run them simultaneously. The only requirements out of Heian-kyo that we've gotten clearly is it will be late November. So, that could be like, what was it? Like the Monday of the 28th. Or technically, I believe our events are currently starting on a Wednesday timeline. If you start the 30th, that's a Wednesday. Literal last day, that counts. They did manage to get the Christmas rerun out of the way, so we have a pretty clear strike zone for December. But yeah, let us know your thoughts. Also, additionally, people on our Discord, for instance, have been having a lot of fun predicting what kind of fun special raid-ups we'll get for Thanksgiving this year. So feel free to start guessing. Some people will be saying, like, Scotty. Some people will be saying, like, Sherlock. It's been a while since a Sherlock raid-up. See if there's any other fun tech stuff. Yeah, didn't Gil already get a weird raid-up this year? Didn't we already shoehorn him in? I'm not saying we won't, but... Like, for instance, I feel like you can actually, for once, predict that there won't be a Skahawk raid-up during Thanksgiving because there was a whole Skahawk fest. But yes, there's a lot of stuff. No. Gil usually only gets, like, 1, maybe 2 weird raid-ups a year. He always comes back at least once a year. You can't go a year without there being a Gilgamesh raid-up. But yes, quite a lot of news for you and us to chew on. I think it's a great time. Sorry. To let everybody know what that chuckle was. It was a good, hearty chuckle. Somebody in our Patreon chat said, it can't be Gil. Limited service only. Class. Though despite that joke, and actually rolling on his launch banner, I do not actually have a Gil. Mostly because I don't go out of my way to roll in his raid-ups. It's just funny. I did actually roll on his initial, 2-week release raid-up. That's where I got my Jean. So thanks, Gil.
Thanks a lot, buddy.
My Jean, as one of my early SSRs, I think maybe even my first, came in real clutch over those Part 1 years. Your motherfucking life ends 30 turns from now. Old schools. Well, speaking of the old school, I believe that is all our news items for today.
I believe so as well. And so with that, let us move, not swiftly, but steadily, on to this week's Let's Talk FGO Mailbag segment where we read what you have to say and comment accordingly. This week we have 11 lovely submissions, and we will get through them all, so please sit down, hang tight, and enjoy the ride. Our first one here comes from a novice hunter fishing for imaginary seafood with great motivation. Yeah, that's a moment. Hey, this shit's edible! What? But they say, greetings, Lucky and Omega. I hope you... Wait.
Ooh.
Ooh?
It's not quite ooh, but it's very close.
For context, this person was probably trying to type U, but they spelled it U-O-U. So, you are both doing well this weekend and enjoying the event. My question this week is, with the huge influx of quality of life updates thanks to the strong efforts of FGO NA, do you feel they will implement other future improvements currently in JP sometime by the start of next year? Ergo, Cobalt Apples, Pity, or those teapots. Thank you for your contributions to giving the FGO audience your respective support on the game updates and event tips, and I hope you both have a good cup of tea this spooky season. Unfortunately for you, I am not drinking tea right now. Right now, I have a bottle of Martinelli's Gold Medal Sparkling Cider, 100% juice from U.S. grown fresh apples, contains no alcohol.
Yes, some of our international audience might not get that, but in America, most of our ciders are non-alcoholic, unless they say hard cider.
I mean, I do love me a hard cider. It's fall time. In fall time, I'm just all like, it's cider season, bitches.
America has a long history of being in conflict with itself about booze. See prohibition and also prohibition. As for the question about quality of life, actually, first of all, I should say thank you for your contribution to writing in mailbag and watching us. We would not be here if people didn't respond.
Thank you very much.
But the question of Pity and other quality of life stuff early, specifically Pity. Well, like you said earlier, it seems like they're kind of working on some of the framework to maybe make that earlier. I feel like that's going to have a lot of technical and just general, banner type questions if they implement it early. But I could see them actually implementing it early. If they were going to do it, it's still probably going to be at a New Year's or 1 million downloads or something. And we're only, actually, isn't it this upcoming anniversary that is Pity anyway?
Yeah, because it was for the first Coin Skya, right?
I believe so. Chat will double check us. They remember these things better. Or
Well, if
they're
it-
not in the middle of recording a show and can go look it up. But yeah, like that's about, a little over 6 months-ish away. So I could see them squeaking in a little early. We'll see. They might just be, building us up for when it inevitably comes out. The other stuff. Oh no, it wasn't years. It was Coin Sky of Dark. Okay, so we're about a year out. In that case, I could easily see the 6 months early for anniversary if they can pull it off with the rate ups. A whole year early. I mean, I would appreciate pity for Muramasa, but I don't know. They've given us some stuff way early, so it's really hard to tell. So we'll just have to wait and see as usual. The other stuff, like teapot expenditures and the new, technically bronze apples, but the blue apples, that I could see earlier because those are kind of their own like little economy, basically. Like the way they give you the teapots for extra bond points is through the Road to 7 type stuff and just general login events. Very similar to adding append skills early. I could totally see them just being like, and here's the bond teapots, consume them to get extra bond, and we'll just give you more, So, definitely could be possible to get those kinds of things going. Pity, I think, is a big question, and like I said, just gonna have to wait and see.
Don't worry, everyone. We will be right there with you, waiting and seeing as well. So when we know, you will probably know as well.
Yeah. Oh, actually, and one more thing I think I should say, because this person said the strong efforts of FGO NA. Technically, while there is a dedicated global team, it's still a Lasengle team in Japan who is doing it. They've talked about before, but yes, there is, I believe, a dedicated global dev team who handles the NA type stuff.
So with that, let us move on.
Apologies if I take any sudden weird pauses. I have my window open, like I said, because it's cooled off, but it appears to be making my sinuses melt occasionally.
But this next one comes from someone whose mental state can only be described as confused Kirby noises. Post this real quick.
Probably save it for WhatsApp, but at some point we need to talk about how fucking nice the new Watch Together activity is in Discord.
It is. I was ready to push that button, just talk about it right now, because
I mean, we don't need to describe what we did. We can save that for a different time. But Discord has launched a new activity. It's a little rocket ship button in a VC, which includes a basically miniature YouTube browser in your Discord. You can search videos, add videos to playlist, and play videos all synced up. And we stitched together a lot of shit posts one night, and it's great. It's a great feature for when you're gaming. Lovely addition. Big shit.
Well, I don't know if it's a great feature when you're gaming, like, if you're doing intense gaming, but when you're playing something more casual or not super intense all the time, it's
true.
Very fun.
And we haven't tested it out for what I'm sure the classic use is, like just regular-ass watch party type stuff, but it seems like it's good for that too if you want to like string a movie or TV series that happens to be on YouTube on there as well, or an internet series, whatever.
But this person says, "Evening, Omega and Lucky. Wishing you a swift recovery and safety from future illnesses. Related question: what is your favorite food and drink to have when you are sick? Personally, I like eating some local pho and drinking homemade honey ginger tea. Always helps alleviate the pain. Have a good weekend." Man, some honey ginger tea actually sounds really nice. So does some pho, actually. I already ate though, so maybe I'll get it tomorrow.
Put it in your future.
I need to go to the Asian Mart because they actually do have these jars of just the honey ginger tea mix. It's just like a little goop, and you just boil your hot water and you mix it in there.
Oh,
it's
that's
really fucking nice. It's really nice.
For me, I'm a pretty classic soup guy.
Soup.
Give me some cream and mushroom.
I'm at soup.
God,
next time we do this, I'm putting on olive code, man.
So there's definitely, that's pretty easy when you've got a little fever, and then just drink wise, usually I'm a hot cocoa guy for that. Just I do not feel great. What will I do? I'm cold. Drink hot cocoa.
Oh, cocoa. For me,
slam a lot of over the counter medication.
For me, it's a lot. I'd have to say I'm mostly tomato. I'm a tomato and tomato soup and grilled cheese kind of rabbit. That's usually my go-to. You make the tomato soup. You throw some pepper on it and some little few of the green things, and you make some super cheesy toasted grilled cheesies. And then you dunk the cheesy and the soupy, and then you eat it and it's delicious. I love it. Well, when it comes to drinks when I'm sick, I think I'm a fan of the hot cocoa, but I spike it up. I usually add something like Irish cream liqueur to it. Gives it a bit of a mellowness and a bit of a kick. Actually need to pick up some Irish cream liqueur.
I mean, I would also say in general for most people, if you're sick, this kind of went without saying, but stay hydrated.
Oh yeah,
I do that anyway. I have a refillable glass water bottle that I'm using right now, and I personally drink 2 or 3 bottles of water a day. Just make sure to do that when you're sick as well.
Goddamn, I have the Kirby intro beat in my head. So, with that, let us move on. This next one comes from I am now on board with Yankliff. They say, question, which of the recent batch of animation updates are your favorites? I'll never use them, but dang if Caligula isn't great.
Yeah, I don't know. I haven't had a time to, like I said, none of them are bonus servants, so I haven't had a time to actually eyeball any of them.
Unfortunately, I am in that same boat as well, but I'm pretty sure they are all pretty sick.
Yeah, I'll end up using my NP2 Tesla, or, I'll go back to Ushi at some point. I'll be just like, oh yeah, we got an update. Slick.
Nice.
When did this happen? Because, by the way, future prediction chat, there's no way I'm going to remember what animation updates happened for Imaginary Scramble. Because they're for us only. They're just giving us extra animation updates early, as they usually do. So I'm just going to not recall.
I am going to be in that exact same boat.
So, you can see Caligula at Olympus. Story support.
So this next one comes from eagerly awaiting Lucky's Monster Girl board game. I'm glad someone remembers that. It is no longer going to be a board game, though. I'm going to actually make it a video game when I get the chance. Lucky has too much stuff he wants to do, and he realized when designing the game, too many pieces. Way too many fucking pieces.
Yeah, honestly, probably. It's funny how in our modern times, making something virtual, but with the tabletop aesthetic is just way easier. I also occasionally remember Lucky's game design efforts, but don't always ask. He's busy.
Like, I will guarantee you, I have not forgotten about it. It's just like everything else in my life, I need better tools and equipment to actually get started. So
I'm sure we'll let you know when there's a Kickstarter or a Steam Early Access or whatever. But that's way in the future. We need some upfront capital, y'all. Anyway, this person has a question.
This person does have a question. They say, Dear Lucky and Omega, since we got our second painter foreigner servant in EN, I wanted to ask if there's any other famous painters you thought would be a good fit for the foreigner class. Thanks up and keep up the good work. Sending you the good vibes. P.S. Hope Lucky feels better soon. Other famous painters.
I mean, it does not work because he's current, but actually I have a couple, but they're both relatively modern artists. Because unfortunately, that's where a lot of the freaky deaky surreal stuff is. But number one, first thought, H.R. Giger, our classic.
Yeah, I was actually thinking Michelangelo off the top of my head.
He does have a very famous thing at the Sistine Chapel and being touched by God. I'm sure we could work that out there.
There have been reports that he was suffering from some sort of mental illness and whatnot. So,
the other thought I had was Salvador Dali.
Yeah, no, Dali was definitely my next immediate thought. Yeah.
A classic surrealist artist. And if you don't think that Fate couldn't turn, Persistence of Memory, the Melting Clock one, I said story painting, into an NP frame, you're wrong. They would do that. That's what it would be.
Well, guys, remember, just because they're a Phantom Spirit don't mean shit.
True.
I'm literally going to point at Nemo.
Yeah, we could work that out. Yeah,
that's like, in Nossoverse, rules only exist so we can break them later. Because I'm pretty sure that's what happened. If you took some sort of outer god thing and then you bolted it onto a Phantom Spirit, all of a sudden you have a servant profile.
Well, and I mean that's basically what happened with Nemo. That's explicit as well. Is Captain Nemo is a Phantom Spirit, probably strong enough to actually exist, kind of, sorta. Because go watch my Wanted, but 20,000 Leagues is very memorable. Shout out to the script for Imaginary Scramble, remembering the mysterious island. Though lots of people don't remember it. That's where you actually get a lot of your deep cut Captain Nemo lore. But he is also fused with Triton, which lets him, exist in a more concrete space and gives him access to higher level power, because otherwise he would just kind of be a weird submarine guy. But yes, there's a lot. Michelangelo is also a lot they could do with, much like Da Vinci, a polymath, famous for painting and sculpture and so on.
I know it's not an artist, but I feel like Edgar Allan Poe would be a good foreigner servant.
Yes, Poe has a very classic gothic style. Was one of H.P. Lovecraft's influences, along with Robert Chambers, who wrote the King in Yellow collection. So yeah, there's a lot there to work with.
Mm-hmm.
Artists of all stripes, obviously, that's a very classic Lovecraftian thing. Is the artist is a sensitive soul. So naturally, FGO could blatantly steal from a lot of those and really work some of that stuff in. Poets, drawers, is a great Gundam meme I'm going to retweet.
So, let us move on. This next one comes from the artist and the captain are in some crazy high-level fate concepts. Oh boy, howdy. That beginning is text fucking heavy. Jesus.
Yeah. Oh. We'll talk about it later. I like this event, but boy, it's you gotta do some shoveling.
But they say, question, hope you get to feel better, Lucky, and sending good vibes. Wah 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 wah. As for my question, are there any deities not yet tied to a foreigner that you'd like to see as a servant for in the future? I'm assuming by deities you are referring to elder gods and other such Lovecraftian things.
Yeah, I think they're talking about the actual outer god forces. I mean, yeah, we could get a couple in there. There's a couple classics.
Like I said, like the ones that I know are already in. Like I said, I'm not particularly well versed in Lovecraftian horror and stories. Most of the time, whenever it just pops up, I look at a mega and he exposits at will, and it works very, very well. But we got Big C, we got the Big N, we got my one true and only love, Shub in there. And I'm like, no, that's all I know. That's all I really need. Yeah, we got
some classics. There's some other stuff. Yengu Favoring very clearly tied to Cthulhu, for instance, the fire guy. I mean, there's a little bit of that with
I was about to actually bring this up to Rana. Like the only one that I know of that we haven't got again is Haster.
Yeah, we have not really. I think there are some very vague allusions in some of Van Gogh's NP lines, but it's not very clear if there's any King in Yellow connection. There's a lot of stuff you could do with Carcosa. Nodens would be weird because this is the thing. Nodens is an elder god. He's not. I mean, he's from outer space because everybody's from outer space. But Nodens is actually an ancient Celtic deity. He is just a guy. There's tablets to him in real life Britain. Unlike, well, yes, there is a Mesopotamian Dagon, but anyway, Cthulhu, or Cthulhu, whichever way you want to say. Nobody cares. Gnarly. I mean, if they could pull it off, Big Az, Nuclear Chaos Azathon, could be a thing. Most of those are just shit H.P. Lovecraft made up because they sounded good. But Haster is a big one. Thog was kind of funny. The Sleeper of Nakai, the Big Toad Man himself. Somebody could probably pull that off.
I can only think of Bog Song.
I know. I've scarred you all forever. Speaking of things that dwell in Lormar or Moria, possibly going to bring this back later. But there's also I think she's fairly well known in Japan. There's also Alatnaka, the giant spire lady. She builds bridges between She eternally builds a bridge between the canyons and the Dreamlands under Mount Vormodrith. I personally have a lot of fun for some of the elements of the Ithaqua cycle as well, the Windwalker. That's another one that could, if you're going to play kind of by, the August Derleth elemental powers rules, Cthulhu is obviously very oceanic. We even see that in the way that, Hokusai's abilities manifest. Cthulhu is, fiery. There's a handful of things out there. Ithaqua is one of the wind guys associated with cold, associated with Wendigos in the Cthulhu mythos, so there's probably some stuff you could do there to kit bash a few things that could be interesting. And he's got a lot of connections to the Arctic Circle, so there's plenty of stuff you could work on there. Yeah, Japan knows all the big ones and more. Mm-hmm. The Japanese Cthulhu mythos stuff is crazy. Also, to be fair to Big N, we could also you could literally fill an entire gacha game roster out of just different masks of Nyarlathotep. There are so many different versions of Gnarly out there. It's kind of his thing.
That'd be hilarious if you did just have a gacha game where you only summon Nyarlathotep, but those just different masks.
Yeah. I mean, depending on the edition of the Call of Cthulhu role-playing game, There are masks of Nyarlathotep, like different forms of him, which are canonically Oda Nobunaga, and also, I think it was Miles Davis, one of the famous jazz trumpeters. In addition to, his other bullshit, like the Dweller in Darkness, the Bloody Tongue, the Father of Bats, etc., etc. Just, he's everybody. Actually, another could be interesting if they worked that in. Yig, Father of Serpents, Big Snakeman.
Oh, yeah.
Very popular to the Snakemen, the Serpent people. He's got some names thrown out there. You could work with that one, too. We have a lot of snake deities already, so I'm sure the FGO could find some funny things.
Make them a Medusa face.
That'd be pretty hilarious. I'll take more Medusas. I'm still waiting on Cryosaur. You set it up in Gorgon's Bond CE, guys. Come on. You can't tease me with another Medusa clone and just not do it for like 8 years. Please, help me out.
All right, but let us move further on. This next one comes from Moon is Lost in the Void Sea. Question. Hello there, Omega and Lucky. Hope you've had a great week. Do you guys have any new hobbies or skills you want to improve on but don't have time or energy for? I've always wanted to work on my calligraphy for a while, but I've never had the time for it, both in English and Arabic. I haven't necessarily picked up any new hobbies recently. Mostly I just want to work on my writing and my art at this point in my life.
Yeah,
I have no excuse why.
Good.
I have no excuse why I haven't been working on my writing except that I'm lazy. But unfortunately, with me being sick and missing work, I've been slowly pushing back my purchasing of a tablet as my credit card just increases in bill. And I'm just all like, so I might have to put that off a little bit. And writing is something that's as we get closer to November and we have the illustrious NaNoWriMo coming up. Every time it comes around, I'm just all like, I should write something. So, I want to get back into my art and into my writing. At this point, I might as well just say I've never drawn anything in my life and just be like, I'm brand new. And just completely play that off entirely.
Hey, whatever works.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have anything new, like you said, but I've always had stuff I wanted to try a little. Like, I'm very fascinated with a lot of, digital effects and modeling stuff. I don't have a powerful enough computer to get started on that, but that's always been really interesting to me, like the kind of stuff you can do with different digital stuff. But also, and I don't know if this is a process, just I don't have time for it, is I've always been fascinated with music production, like the stuff you can do with different beats, sound clips, instruments and stuff, all digitally now. Seen some people do some dumb stuff. Always wanted to take a poke at that sometime. I don't have time because I shoot videos and play video games and I write stuff. My hobbies in writing and game design are not necessarily new either, but I am actively working on those a lot. Sometimes they don't work out well. Please go listen to this week's episode of Gensukai, but if you want to skip the last hour, that's okay. We did too. We wanted to skip the last hour as well.
Guys, have you ever got so mad that you broke a lantern over a slime's back?
I feel like some people would say yes.
But if we're talking about new things, something I still probably want to pick up maybe at some point in my life, I do want to pick up a string instrument. I'm not entirely sure which one, but because I love pianos, I love guitars, I love, violins and whatnot.
That has also been I've always thought, man, it'd be cool to learn the guitar, but it's just I don't want to, that's not necessarily even a time thing. That's I don't even know. Is a guitar cheap? Can I just buy a guitar and pluck at it? I can. It's just would I want to spend that money, and I need that for other stuff.
Yeah, at my job, I see a lot of guitars come through. I actually check how much they sell for, because I could just actually look at them and hold them and be like, I see this guitar. I think that's the thing I love the most about my job is if I want to buy something out of it, I can hold it and be like, yes.
That is pretty handy. There's a lot of stuff like that where I'm like, gosh, I wish I could conceptualize this in real life.
Let us move.
It's like organized merch. Somebody posted recently. The Cyberpunk Edge Runners did actually update their merch brands.
Yes,
they've got some Becca stuff now and some other characters as well.
There's been more spread around.
They've got a a nice looking Edge Runners branded hoodie in there, and I'm like, there is a pretty big hole in my current black hoodie, but it's $70, and I'm like, damn, I like hoodies, but do I $70 like a hoodie? That's a brand new video game.
Yeah,
yes, everything I think of is in the video game price slot. I guess I'd get enough hours out of a brand new hoodie, but it's so weird to order that online if I can't touch it and try it on first to see if it's right for me, I
don't know, that's fair, but the thing about those kind of things, I literally still have the fucking store page open. You're not just buying a hoodie, you're buying a Cyberpunk hoodie. You're paying for that.
That's true,
branding.
and that's worth a little extra, but I would,
yeah.
like I said, I also am I could use a new hoodie. But I'm like, what, $20? Because like I said, I'd get the hours out of it. It's just, the question of if it's the right fit, the right feel. Is everything cool? I don't know. All right, we got a few more.
Here
We're
we
about
go.
halfway through.
So, we move on. This next one comes from King of Apples, who's digging this new faster battle speed and the Zoomy farms. Question. It was mentioned that the reverse side of the world and the Void Sea are somehow related. The Bleach Earth seems vaguely familiar as well. What if the bleaching just wasn't a byproduct of the alien god's attack, but a purposeful action?
I'm pretty sure it was a purposeful action. I believe the point was to wipe the slate clean so that, hypothetically, a Lost Belt could replace it.
I do believe there has been some explanation of what has happened and stuff, and like in some interviews and stuff. But I don't actually remember what was said, and I don't recall what interviews they were.
I'm trying to remember what the big AG said at the end of Lost Belt 5. Like, I think there were some twists and turns in the, like, how and why the trees in the Lost Belts actually work, but the original plan was definitely to, and I mean, Wodaima even says this in his speech basically to us, was to wipe the Earth clean of everything and then figure out a appropriate Age of Gods type timeline and just reset everything there, so that timeline that Lost Belt could become the new texture of the world. So, bleaching, I believe, was a deliberate action, yes. It wasn't just a byproduct of the alien god melting all humans.
It melted. So, but we'll see. Things will be explained eventually, one day.
Yeah.
Just probably not today.
But we will get some more exposition soon.
Hopefully. This next one comes from Dave broke his login streak.
Cry emoji. That's not me reacting, that's them. They did put a cry emoji there.
They say, it's been so slow that poor Dave forgot to log in. Also, when the crew was doing the scan on Van Gogh, they didn't mention anything about her weird legs. So now that I'm taking a closer look at them, it looks like that she has normal feet. Except for really long toes? Shoes? Either way, I don't like looking at it. Hope you guys are enjoying the event. Listen to this judgmental person.
I thought she had grasshopper legs. I just wasn't going to say anything.
I thought it was more like plant stems.
It could be a plant stem. There's a lot of plant stuff going on.
But also, I live with 300 I don't actually remember, but almost 300 servants of different shapes, types, and size. I ain't gonna judge anyone by their fucking feet.
No, I'm not gonna give Van Gogh judgment. She says Van Gogh, like it rhymes, but it doesn't, because it's a soft G. But am I gonna tell her that? No, it's adorable.
Let her live her best life.
Sorry, accent something. I'm trying to remember the name of a specific old sci-fi movie. Was the Body Snatchers where there was plants? Or am I thinking of Daily Triffids?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't Body Snatchers.
Old sci-fi is crazy. There have definitely been some plant stuff. Children of the Corn, that might be it. If that was literal. I thought that one was just a cult. Yeah, but then Soylent Green is just protein. There's nothing.
That's not plants. That's just dead people.
It's just corpse starch rations. Provided to you by your local commissariat. Anyway, I don't know. There's some different aesthetics. And obviously some of the people on my friends list have rolled Van Gogh, and those later ascensions are spicy.
Spicy.
Well, yeah, Sax, that's the point of the time gate. We don't know what's going on, because the game won't tell us yet. We'll figure it out, I'm sure. But did you like how we got the extra, kind of unnecessary explanation on how servant blood works? In case you've ever wondered why that happens, here you go.
Anyway, we move on. The next one comes from Who Lives in a Pineapple Under the Void Sea? Oh my god, what is that? Quick, kill it. And they say, good eye, Studio Omega. Do you think the Mage Association will promote the Master to the rank of Fez if we manage to unbleach the Earth, or will those stuck-up pricks just lock them under the clock tower and sweep it all under the rug? All the best, and have a good week.
I mean, I believe hypothetically they've said that they're going to try and, transition to different supporting cast for whatever a Part 3 would be. Again, don't know if that's a separate... We still don't know if that's, FGO 2, the app, or just, we'll do Part 3. They have completely switched engines, so it might just be all the same app.
Well, if they say supporting cast, it still could be the same main character.
True. But they want to, try and, do some character refresh stuff with the game for whatever the next story segment is. Which we kind of did with Part 1 to Part 2. So, I don't know.
My personal prediction is the Mage Association will immediately want to slap a ceiling designation on us.
Yeah, I believe that has been alluded to.
And
we've got Gordolf with us.
Yeah.
He's a lord. He'd probably vouch for us. Probably? I don't know. I'm pretty sure he's on the up and up. I still don't know.
Well, here's the thing. I'm pretty sure he's on the up and up, but the thing is, can he stand up to the Mages Association?
He, as Axe did point out, he is in policies. He is technically a mage cop.
True.
I don't know. I think we've always said that it might be interesting to, like, actually get into the mage politics a little. Like, there's a lot going on there that FGO obviously hasn't touched on because we keep exploding the universe. Like, there's a lot of stuff that happens in the modern, like, the last 20 years of real life time in Fate that we just don't touch on because, like I said, those times are constantly exploded and on fire. Yep. But there's definitely some stuff we could do there, and that could turn into a, like, change of place for us to actually, like, interact with the Mages Association.
Oh yeah, no, I'm pretty sure that part 3 would be your MC, like, on the run and having to run to, like, different locations around the world to do something. I'm not entirely sure what.
That could work with the structure. Lost Belt's kind of started that way. They did give us a Novum Chaldean, but I think that was just so they could actually, like, just stop breaking their brains about when events were happening.
It's like, yeah, because part 1 was about changing the past. Part 2 is about changing the present, and part 3, I guess, would be about changing the future. So I would assume that you have to run around the world to specific locations where world changes events have been predicted to happen and stop them. Like the world is suddenly spontaneously exploding in Holy Grail Wars.
Yeah, something. Could see that.
Yeah,
that still kind of fits onto FGO's themes because, like, allegedly that is, like, the function of some of our Chaldea gear is supposed to do that, and also, like, technically speaking, that was, like, Romani's character arc, right? Was, like, he sensed the coming disaster and, like, wandered the world and showed up at Chaldea to do his part, help us out.
But of course the Mage Association is like, no, get them! They're lying!
I don't know if they'd even be like, they're lying. It would just be like,
like, that person has a very strange history. She has time cooties all over them.
Time cooties. Hey, we could do time caps.
Yeah.
I think we can do time caps.
Also, this one human has, Gordolf. Oh no, Gordolf wasn't there. This one human has literally survived two apocalyptic events, and I wouldn't say single-handedly, but humanly, solve them.
Yeah.
With nothing but, charisma and guts.
I'm pretty sure a lot of
people are going, wait a fucking... I know, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people are going, wait a fucking minute.
Even Nemo talks about that during this event. And you're like, alright, we're stranded underwater and we're running out of supplies. What do we do? Well, if we think about this logically, and Nemo's like, I understand now that you've been through a lot. You're treating this, remarkably well.
But no, I am excited. I'm like, as always, I'm always excited to see what the future of the franchise holds.
Yep. I think it would be funny if they promote us again, just for, like, the way to tell that you've cleared part 2, but we'll see. I'm sure they could come up with all kinds of, like, different things.
Also, to be fair, it was never the Mage Association that promoted it, it was Da Vinci. And I don't know if anyone in the Mage Association can tell Da Vinci no.
True. Da Vinci just, boops their magecraft.
Like, stop
Hello,
that.
I am a genius. I know how this works. I believe we did actually, our cause rank, we did get a letter. Because she's acting commander of Chaldea. I don't think she can actually Mage Association promote us. But when we got pushed to cause, it was just hilarious because it was like, alright, cool, you've saved the world. We don't understand what the fuck happened. Here's your letter. You're promoted. No one spoke to us. No one saw us. They just, like, got our report and were like, alright, have this. Have this shitty piece of paper. And then you're like, what about my back pay? And then the alien god blew up all of the banks, so...
I really hope at the end of the fight we can just yell about how we never got paid. That's all I want. That's all I need.
We just go on that's our next epic of Revenant. We take a literal fucking year-long vacation, blowing all our money.
I mean, I can see that. An epic of Remnant in the Servantverse. Just like, you just spend all your money into basically buying up Chaldea now sets and be like, bye! Oh no, they do have records of hours.
Yeah, we've got we have a complete, model of we have computers for this.
Yes.
It's just 2. And we have Sion.
Well, actually, I guess it would, like, actually, now that I think about it, I feel like Gordy will try to weasel out of something. Because there's a lot of hazard pay coming our way, and I remember how Da Vinci was all like, even trying to lowball this shit, the amount you've made is a little stupid.
Yeah. No, Gordolf will definitely be like, but if I pay you all that money, I don't have any money left, and then I don't own Chaldea. Do you take your pay in baked goods? No, I prefer cold hard cash.
Or assets I can liquidate.
Yeah,
Like Chaldea.
That's our future. We become the new director. We don't get any more money though. Fuck.
I mean, I think that'd be an interesting twist in the part 3. We become Chaldea's leader, and then all of a sudden we become a wanted organization.
Canonically, several years will have passed. So,
the weakest mage known as the greatest criminal. Hey, there's Mark looking at his boxes.
oh, he's playing Zomboid right now.
Yes.
You, like me, have your activity hidden. Kind of surprised Steam didn't notice. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. One more.
So, last one comes from Agent 418, who says, "Hello, Omega and Lucky." I reversed that. It was actually Lucky and Omega. I don't know why I did that. Have a good weekend. You too. Thank you for your well wishes every week. But that is that.
I mean, how is that calculated, though? Like, are we talking about U.S. minimum wage? Because that doesn't work. Like, we're employed in Antarctica.
Well, no, I do remember at some point we did actually look up, like, what was the average pay of a researcher down in Antarctica and whatnot.
Probably some stuff there. I think I'm not going to say that the Mages Association and the UN technically don't have that cash.
Here, if you guys are interested in what I'm doing while we are talking.
But that was mail bag.
Bag.
Yeah, it's fine. It's a good length. Got some discussion in there. Tell us your thoughts about stuff. What do you want to see in the hypothetical part D that we are sure actually exists, probably? I mean, they did say they've got, like 3 more years of content? Yeah, they said they had 5 years planned already at 5 years. So for minimum, we've got, 3 more years of content. And that was just what they had planned 2 years ago. But we can move on to free talk. Got a couple of things to talk about. First of all, some first impressions on the new event. If you're not caught up for some reason, first of all, shame on you. New event. See those sweet, beautiful, buttery frames. But also, you may get some spoilers. Not a lot. We're not doing a full deep dive because obviously there are time gates. And I'm not even fully caught up to the time gates because there is a decent amount of grinding. It's kind of interesting how we've got kind of the double grind. Like, I'll do free quests to get resources, and that'll expend my AP, and then I'll dump all my resources into clearing maps, and then I'll be like, shit, I'm out of resources. It's got an interesting little bit of flow. But I do also have a Fanservant Friday coming later, which is, as voted on by our patrons at the 5 and up level, Jorogumo. So we will get into that too. But first, Imaginary Scramble pregame. So Lucky and I both kind of alluded to this, but this is another one of them events that is very, very stilted. Very heavy start. There's not technically, you do a simulated battle with your team, as I think literally just to me about Quick. Because it's Scotty, Zhangyu, Osakaba Hime.
I mean, you can talk about the quick comp, and then Scotty will go on about, quick comp and stuff. It's hilarious.
Yeah, Summer 3 is canon, even though that's a little weird, but we'll figure it out later.
Time shenanigans.
BB broke everything. We all knew this.
Well, hey, she's trying to make up for it.
Yeah, by leaving these notes that are like, to prove to you that I definitely did not do this. Here, have my assistance. I'm going to chill on the far side of the moon, just so you don't think. Just so it's not me. This comes from the devil on the moon. But while there is that fun little battle that has that jokes, the first chunk of this is very text-dense. Because there's a lot of world building here, and there's a lot of Nemo work. I do appreciate, right, that they let you, because technically you would have already done that intro in story in 5, you can skip the reintroduction of the Nemo series.
I read it anyway.
Oh, yeah, of course. But that's just one of those little details that is, with the parentheses, is like, hey, if you're already familiar with these characters, you can skip this. If you're not, you should click it. But it's very text-dense. For, I think, the first time ever in an event, now, obviously, it is, a story event. This is a literal thing that happens in the canon timeline. It was alluded to when we did Lost Belt 5 Part 1, that this happened. And it kind of melted our brains a little bit. Makes sense. But this story does something that is kind of unusual for FGO. It very explicitly tries to explain why we took certain servants.
Yeah.
And it really doesn't have to, because, I mean, okay, Zhangyu does his fucking time-space brain magic master calculation thing and gives us some tips so we don't die immediately. And obviously Scotty's runecraft is kind of important. Osakaba Hime is alright. She's funny, I appreciate that she's here, but technically could have been literally any swimsuit servant. Not, like I said, not that I wish she was replaced. It's hilarious to just fucking huck her across the map. As one of the emos says, this sonar buoy is heavy. And I have another comment about that to get to there later. But, like I said, it's just, there's so much of this, like, talk about how people got selected and why, and, like, Abigail is mentioned as, being a possibility, along with Hokusai, which is, like, it's cool that you do this lore world-building stuff, and it kind of, like, puts us in the right mood that, like, oh, some freaky foreigner stuff is gonna happen, because foreigners were in the running. But also, it feels kind of unnecessary.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I feel like, as much as I don't want to say that, like, oh, having our little, cute dialogue with Abigail isn't neat, and, there is that line at the end of the intro where Sion says, guys, don't freak out, we might be in a dream right now. We'll probably cycle around when we actually get out of here as to what she meant by that. Is it a literal, we got dream kidnapped again situation, or what? So, like, that some of that early stuff could be foreshadowing.
It might have to do with how the reason why we can't actually remember anything of what fucking happened.
Yeah, it was actually a dream, so we're dream logic. Like, also, another thing, they spent a lot of time explaining the mechanics of the Void Sea, and how it's like, so normally, as you may recall from the story, normally the Void Sea doesn't work like this, but now it's different, so it does work like this, and I'm just like, guys, I don't care.
It's like, if you had actually just made the Void Sea in an ocean, I feel like we could have saved ourselves a lot of time.
Yeah. Sea of imaginary numbers and all that stuff. But, like, I get that it was always a metaphorical sea, but it's still metaphorical. Like, Nemo even explains this. Because it's not a literal sea at a later point, he's like, we cannot actually go up or down. We're still bound to, like, a two-dimensional plane, because it's all simulated. So, like, there's a lot of stuff I think they could have skipped to that. And again, that might just be foreshadowing if it is in fact just like, oops, dream logic, that's fine, but then why did you're hanging too much of a lampshade, FGO, is what I want to say. Like, you're pointing out that something is going on here, and you're focusing too much time on pointing out how it's weird and we don't normally do that.
Like, this is like the same old song at dance. You should just say shit's fucking, we're like, alright, let's fix it.
Yeah. And, like, I do like that, like, okay, obviously things were not supposed to be weird, so we get banged up and our supplies are damaged, and so we can't, like, resurface yet, so we gotta, like, repurpose the void materials, the stuff we find. Okay, cool. I doubt it's a new writer. If anything, this writing feels very familiar to FGO. It's just, like, I feel like whoever wrote this scenario had some, and we can probably figure that out, just go, I think you'd have to wait until the next materials comes out, because it's not cut up, but whenever Van Gogh's materials profile comes out, just go look at who their scenario writer is. They presumably wrote this event. I'm gonna guess it was probably Mitio, who does a lot of the foreigner stuff for FGO, or it was Nasu himself at this rate. But I feel like the author had a really cool idea. Like, somebody was like, they probably knew that they wanted to do some kind of weird introductory event with Nemo as a playable unit back when they wrote Lost Belt 5 Part 1, right? But obviously just didn't have the time for it in the schedule yet, for whatever reason. And so they had the idea to do something oceanic, and then they were like, well, shoot, now I have to explain why it is the way it is. And it's like, I don't think anybody cares. It's FGO. I guess some nerds will probably care, but, I feel like we could have addressed this in fewer lines of dialogue, basically.
Yeah.
Which is the primary issue with this stuff. There's a lot of extra lines of dialogue that is not necessary. I would much rather get the funny lines of dialogue about, Nemo series stuff and other fun things. In general, though, I do want to say the vibes of this event are really good. The map theme is really cool. Like, using aquatic sound effects for most of the beats.
Mm-hmm.
All the little extra dialogue. Hey, by the way, fun fact, if you guys haven't noticed, if you rapidly leave and come back to the event shop, the currency shop, you will rapidly cycle through Nemos. It's a different Nemo every time. But yeah, so, a lot of good aesthetics to all of this. And, I think they've done some interesting stuff, like with the battle nodes you do with those unknown enemy markers. Like, it's a little annoying because of how targeting an FGO works, but I think that's actually a really interesting idea to be like, hey, you can't just drop your AoE NP and bully these guys instantly. You have to, like, take a turn to poke them first, otherwise they're just going to eat all the damage. And it stretches out a fight in an interesting way, because usually those, enemy spotted nodes are, like, one wave long, Mm-hmm. So it's an interesting thing they did that I appreciate. Because Summer Musashi is a bonus servant, so otherwise I would be ripping and or tearing.
Yeah, same.
But we do get, even in the fact that we've only got a few story nodes later, and I want to progress, like I said, I've just gotten to the point where Raiko has been summoned, which itself is a whole great scene, because Nemo is like, I appreciate some of this exposition where Nemo explains basically like, okay, well, we have a magical reactor and we're still plugged into Novum Chaldea, so you can still summon. Just use Mash's Shield. We can do leyline shit. And I'm like, okay, that's neat. Like, explicitly summoning servants to us, Good quality way to explain how we slowly expand the roster of supports and stuff. And just the many, many jokes about costume switching. There's a lot of swimsuit foreshadowing. Scotty does not have a swimsuit, so she becomes swimsuit Skahak, but she's terrible at it. She feels very barbarist.
I do kind of love it because when you do story supports, I do like checking out their buffs and stuff, because they sometimes do just have interesting names. For example, in the first part, when you do have access to Story Van Gogh, they are under NP sale, and if you check the name, it just says hesitant to use NP. That's very much a kind of moment for me.
Yeah.
But on the other end of that spectrum, if you have a Skahak Scotty / Assassin Skahak, it just says Pride of Shame. And it's like, no, this girl literally just too embarrassed to do it.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's good. I love little details like that. I really do. I'm glad they just don't leave it as, NP seal and just put little touches
They
on
explain
it.
why you cannot. There's the great moment where, Mash throws her we force Mash to throw her swimsuit on, and then she's like, whoa, I'm powered up. Send me out, Captain.
That was a great scene. It's like, no time to explain, just whoop, command seal.
They're going nuts with them command seals. You use one to switch Raiko to her swimsuit.
Use one to rescue some of the Nemo series.
Yeah, Nemo's like, I can just remake the engineer in the Marine, and you're like, no,
friendship now. Because that's like another thing about this whole encounter is, it's a reason to bond with Nemo.
Yeah,
almost literally
explaining why Nemo is Nemo a summonable servant. Like, you actually make a temporary contract with him, and like there is some back at the ranch type dialogue, because we're doing a very minimal crew. We're the acting commander of the Nautilus. We've left everybody behind but the Nemo series of the servants we brought with us, and so like no Sherlock, no Goldorf, no Da Vinci. I like that there's a little bit of dialogue where Sion's like, no, I should stay behind to monitor the test. Maybe later I'll go on a sea adventure. And I'm like, ooh, sure, go for it. But like, she talks a lot about her relationship with the captain, with Nemo, about how they're really like master and servant. Like, yes, she did do a summoning contract, but it was more just to like make him manifest and add his expertise. And she does not fill that traditional master role. Instead, she's like, I'll make sure to get you a ship, which she's done. Nautilus does stuff. Sorry, goopy sinuses. But yeah, so, Scotty says it's like simply not time for me to do a swimsuit. Even Van Gogh says, oh, could I change class if I, change clothing, kind of a thing? We get a return of non-alcoholic drunk Mash.
Great.
Even though the Marine is explicit to say that it is not alcoholic, Mash still goops out.
Apparently Mash has a conceptual weakness to the term cocktail.
Yeah. But yeah, there's, like I said, lots of fun little dialogue. You spend a lot of time discussing with the captain. Nemo's going back and forth, interacting occasionally with the individual Nemo series. Baker even gets, manifested, because Nemo said they originally left Nemo Baker behind, but we need somebody to prepare the food because the monster meat is not palatable. Even though we do get to say the meat is back on the menu meme. That is one of your lines you can pick. It's pretty great. So yeah, there's a lot of fun stuff here. I do, appreciate a lot of stuff. We get actual dialogue with Yang Guifei,
Yeah. Apparently we're going on these assumptions that we have not summoned her before, or have we? We don't fucking know. We never fucking know.
They talk about, like, did I meet her in a dream? Because obviously she had a trial quest, but unlike, say, Hokusai, there was no actual story involved. So this may be her canonical first summoning to Chaldea properly. Though they may allude that we met her in other events, but, I also like that, like, Scotty's runes to do her swimsuit is just go to her second ascension with the shorter skirt. But, you know, you get a lot of her actual characterization, which seems nice. Very, very supportive of Van Gogh. Lots of ladies in this event like to be praised. I do like when you get to the second map, though, and summon Raiko, it's like, she sees Hime in her swimsuit and is just like, hold on, wait a minute, are you telling me summer is here? And then you switch her over and she's like, oh, well, I was going to carry out my duties by removing Osakawa Hime's, what did she call it? Was it iniquities? Basically just, you know, alluding to Hime's general slightly scuffedness. She's slight shifty. She knows what she's about.
She's only on board because you gave her a do anything you want one-time command seal. So.
Yeah, reverse command seal, free pass. She's like, mwahaha. Peak gremlin energy.
The best.
My final explicit note, though I got some talk about the mechanics here, was I feel very comfortable now at this point, in case you guys haven't picked up. Though hopefully you did, because you're, you know, subscribed and you're paying attention to our episode releases. Wanted Nemo came out. Please go watch it. It's very good. I spent a lot of time on it. It's a fun script. I get to yell about, you know, some Jules Verne and how he should probably be a heroic spirit at this point. So many books, guys. But I did not do a Van Gogh one yet. Like, we're not waiting on that one. I'm waiting about a week. And I feel vindicated in that decision because even early, a lot of this story seems really caught up in, you know, the actual discussion of what exactly her deal is, right?
Oh, yeah, no, like, when you first meet, you're talking about, she remembers being Van Gogh, but, you know, there's inconsistencies and stuff.
And obviously, I like that the script explicitly addresses the classic fate gender flip.
Yes.
Like, they straight up say, well, usually when this happens, there is a clear reason for it. They have either been misreported by history, like Artoria and Raiko, foreshadowing, or, you know, there was some other kind of issue, like, you know, they talk about OA being part of a multi-part summon, and even Musashi is brought up as, like, you know, a special case, straight up an alternate timeline, which is a theory that is presented about Van Gogh as well. But they also explicitly are like, but Vincent Van Gogh is a well-known, fairly modern artist, and if he was, like, actually a woman, what are all these self-portraits, and wouldn't that have been scandalous? You know, for reasons. So, you know, they actually comment on it, and I don't think people a lot, but occasionally, because the internet is a very petty place, people will take potshots at Fate and FGO for just like, just make him a hot chick. Like, FGO usually does that with a purpose. They've talked before about how they like to, if they did not do some of those things, the units would be weighed overwhelmingly male.
Yeah.
Because, hey, guess what? History has a lot of male figures for reasons. Reasons of history and culture and other nonsense. But yeah, it's just a fun note, and then it's like, a lot of it is just about how, like, oh, her noble phantasm is very mysterious. What does it do? She has, you know, these weird connections with void space. She was literally outside the sub, knocking on the outside. Luckily, you know, Yang was able to, like, let us know that she was cool, because normally I do not answer mysterious voices knocking on the outside of my submarine saying, let me in. That is a bad time, usually. It reminds me, I need to boot up Barotrauma sometime and see how well that runs. I have it purchased, but I need to see how well it flows. And if you don't know, Barotrauma is a sci-fi submarine game. You play a submarine crew on the icy moon of Europa, where there's horrible monsters outside, and sometimes imposters who will knock. So, I do not wish to knock. Well, yeah, no, there's a lot of, you know, stuff out there to check out about it. So, I feel like if I had written the script and posted it right away, I would have had to either spoil everything or just had a lot of very boring, don't worry about it moments. Like, I feel like there's going to be a lot of specific things to unpack throughout the story of the event that I would have had, like I said, I would have had to have either spoiled or just not talked about. So the Wanted should be much more interesting when it, you know, comes out later. And hopefully you should go watch that. If you have already, you know, rolled your Van Gogh, make sure to watch the video, or I put a curse on your house.
Fox.
It is confirmed. I said that both now and in Wanted Nemo. If you are listening to my voice and you've already got a Van Gogh and you don't watch the Wanted, that luck I loaned you, I will reverse the curse and I will suck it away from you. So you all be better watching out for curse stories. You're in one. But also seriously, go watch the Nemo. It's good. It's a fun time. You should watch it more. Well, Axe, I made the one, and my luck is usually terrible. I admit many of the servants I make one-its for I don't try very hard, but, like, I am eternally that Red Skull meme. I lead others to a treasure I cannot possess. That is the true power of Wanted, the friends you made along the way. But yeah, no, to talk about, like, event mechanics a little, while this one, like I said, it's a little grindy, it doesn't feel bad, it's just, like I said, I kind of, like, pivot between, like, you know, run through a run of AP on free quests to get more resource drops, and then, you know, go spend them on the map. The only thing that, like, currently I find I'm a little, like, bothered by is just the rate at which we're unlocking new sonar patterns, basically, because they showed off there's multiple options, and, like, even though you add Raiko to your roster with the first quest of Act 2, you have to get to the next points level before you unlock her as an actual, like, unit you can click on and send out. And while Hime's little, like, you know, 3x3 is cool, I have a lot of, like, 2-wide weird patches in my first area map, because, you know, when you click on treasures or enemies, that unlocks new squares, so it's a very slight nitpick, but I'm like, you know, this 9x9 doesn't always work perfectly. Because you don't, I'm trying to think how to phrase this best. The pattern where you use Osakabe Hime's sonar will hit the diagonal, that is its shape, but you cannot send her to diagonals.
No.
So, it's like I said, it's just a little awkward there. I kind of wish we got to the different patterns sooner, but hopefully as we get to later maps, we get some more flexibility for, like, clearing certain zones and stuff. I think the battles so far have been fairly alright. I know some people have complained a little that, you know, you get this 4-story support with Van Gogh and she can't use her NP for quite a few battles. It is non-damaging, so it's not like it's a huge deal. It just adds curse and lots of other buffs. I've been doing fine with the just mandatory support setups. I think most of them are designed to be okay. But yeah, no, the support setup for, like, free quest farming is very easy. Like I said, you know, Summer Musashi is allowed. She counts, so we get to rip roar. I get to give her, like, a 50% damage bonus and 75% NP because Imaginary Around is a bonus CE, technically. It's very funny. I like a lot of the aesthetic of, like, the, you know, battleship type map. It's pretty fun. Fun little extra map thing to do. I don't feel like it's very tedious, like, unlike how much clicking you had to go through to, like, do OQ, for instance, right? Like, this flows pretty well. Yes, there is a little dialogue when you do it, but, like, it's just goes on in the background as the animation plays as you punt Osakabe Hime across the map. So, yeah, it's a good time. Good vibes. I'll be eager to get more. We should have some deeper thoughts on the story. Like I said, we'll see if some of this stuff is, you know, like, obviously, some lines of dialogue we can see are now foreshadowing. You know, Scotty saying, "It's not my time to wear my swimsuit." Foreshadowing, obviously, because Summer Scotty was this year. But, like, there's other stuff going on that I'm like, okay, we'll see if this pans out. It's probably going to be all a dream, because Sion says we're dreaming or something. But if that is our excuse for why shit is weird, I'll be slightly nettled. Because I'll be like, then why the fuck did you explain all this to me? But I won't say no to more Nemo time. We've already gotten so many classic memes, given it's all she's got. And Engineer's like, I'm always giving it all I've got. All we need to work in is for Nemo Engineer to say that it'll be done in, like, 4 days and do it in 4 hours. But I'm kind of interested to see, you know, who else shows up to the support unit. Obviously, like, we've got a lot of mystery with Van Gogh to chew through. But, you know, we're going to add new characters and more people to this. We got a fun double X cameo in the beginning.
I like how X was like, oh yeah, you think I just show up when something weird happened? And everyone's just like,
Sion, would you like to double check our calculations? And Sion's like, shit, something weird is happening. But yeah, good time. Alright. That's all about it I got to say about the event for first impressions. Anything else from you want to bring up? Okay. Let us take a quick break here. We crossed the 2-hour mark in the raw mission clock, so let's take a short intermission before we do Fanservant Friday and outro business and stuff. As I will attempt to stop having to blow my nose so much, so please hold. Okay, we're back. Took some antihistamine. I blew my nose a lot. I got more water. I agree. I tried to take a sip and make it audible, but I don't think it passed through. We're not quite that sensitive. But, alright. We are going to do Fanservant Friday now. As voted on by our patrons, you too can vote in Fanservant Friday. If you support us on Patreon at the $5 or higher levels, all of those tiers can vote. And it was a pretty narrow margin this month, but Jorogumo managed to edge out. So, let's do a little bit of background. I suspect, knowing that most of you are huge weebs, you probably understand this one pretty well. But, in case you don't, there's a lot out there. Jorogumo is a recurring yokai type in Japan. There are a couple of myths and legends associated. It is also sometimes used as a name for certain species of spider, because it is a spider lady type thing. There are some, funny multi-meanings in there, like the kanji can mean, literally spider woman spider technically with the grammar, but you know what I mean. But you can also use it to make a pun, which means entangling newlywed woman. So entangling obviously having some vibes there. So
I waggled those eyebrows really hard.
What's up?
I said you couldn't see it, but I waggled my eyebrows really hard.
Yeah, we do a lot of waggling there. So the general vibe of this yokai is a spider that can shapeshift into a beautiful woman. Not, that weird. There are a couple of, classic Edo period yokai writings that explain some of these. Generally, there are a lot of, tricks, traps, other shenanigans, what you might expect from a ghost or ghoulie based on a spider. Also, especially web-spinning spiders are the actual Jorogumo type spiders. For instance, in Tonegusa, there is a brief legend of, a young woman who appears before the warrior and, tries to get him to embrace the child she is carrying, but he realizes this is, fake. He slashes at her with his sword, and then the next day he finds a dead spider in his attic. The spider is 2 shaku long, which is a Japanese unit, which is usually called the Japanese foot, because it's about the same as a foot, approximately 11.9 inches. So, a 2-foot-long spider in his attic with some dead bodies, that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of, marriage, or other kind of, bewitching moves. The most famous one is, I think, and this is, what I worked into the servant design, is the tale of the woodcutter at, Joren Falls. That's in Shizuoka. Basically, there's a woodcutter, there's a waterfall basin, and it's rumored that if you go to the basin, the Jorogumo will drag you in. So the people of the village don't go any there. A strange woodcutter goes, but he accidentally drops his axe in. It's one of those stories. Drop your axe in a pond, meet a hot chick. Anyway, a beautiful lady hands him back his axe, and they go through all this stuff, and then, the woman says, "Don't ever tell anybody about this story." And he does, though. He gets drunk one day and tells them, and then he dies. There's different versions. Sometimes he falls asleep and never wakes up again, and other times he's pulled outside by a string, like in a fucking jump scare trick. There's a third version, which is another common one, which is he falls in love with a beautiful woman, and he keeps coming back over and over again. And at one point he goes to the mountains Tengu to get permission to marry this spider, and then he's like, nah. He jumps in the waterfall. And then there's a lot of variations on this myth throughout. So, as a servant, I say Jorogumo is a berserker, though you'll see some other possible class stuff in there. I wrote this one a long time ago. I did go for chaotic evil, classic yokai stuff. Some of the stories, the spider lady can be like, do you a solid, do you a flavor, but usually they are trying to trick people into spider range, because that is how web spinning spiders work. Big so, and obviously take some of this stuff with kind of a grain of salt with some of the stats. I have never truly understood when thinking about servant stat numbers. For berserkers, are we supposed to count madness enhancement in there or what? I don't know. But I went with berserker and madness enhancement because it kind of fits a couple of versions of the story. The spider lady can become enraged or seek her revenge, and just in general, being a demon who needs to eat people is probably a little crazy.
A little outside, you don't know that.
So, strength B+, endurance C, agility B. Sometimes the spiders are portrayed as very agile. Mana or NPC, luck E. Spider lady is not very lucky. NPA. Just went for madness enhancement D as one of our normal passives. I would think that in an FGO or other Fate, homebrew context, Jorogumo would be sensible. You could speak to her. It's just, sometimes she gets a little annoyed and tries to eat you.
Would be the first time.
Yeah, so still legible and makes sense, not really pushing our boundaries of geekiness. Obviously, like I said, over the years, FGO has drifted exactly how Madness Enhancement works, but you'll notice there's a lot of servants who come out these days who are either like EX or their Madness Enhancement is very low and they're just very strong to get over it. Also, this would be counted in the passive area. I counted Divinity E, because technically, in some versions, we mentioned the waterfall and stuff, and I believe there's another regional variant in Sendai, where the Jorogumo is supposed to be the guardian deity, the kami of the waterfall, but as she is a demonic spider, the rank is super reduced. Basically, the E is the same equivalent as what Medusa has, Used to be technically a deity, but is now an anti-hero, so you get some swip around. For personal skills, we got some basic stuff. Monstrous strength, B+, strength of a demonic beast. She is a demonic spider. Again, 2-foot spider. So, pretty standard attack up stuff. Went with Morph C, shape-shifting. C seems to be the average range. Different Jorogumo stories, you can see somebody is like, she can appear as like a very young woman, an adult woman kind of a thing, a child even, or also turn into a, giant spider if a normal looking one. So, morph. And again, some of this stuff is just for fluff. Obviously, FGO likes to swap these around, so you could take your pick of whichever ones work best. I did come up with a couple of unique ones. Mana Drain B. And so, basically, trying to figure out, like, okay, how do we world build? How does, demon spider lady, but also goddess of waterfall come together? So, basically, I talked about how in that one legend, the villagers stopped coming to the waterfall, right?
Right.
So, basically, what we're pitching here is Jorogumo is a demonic spider who is, deprived of worship, tries to get energy from living creatures to sustain herself. Not only can she, consume bodily fluids of humans. Remember how Medusa sometimes drinks blood in FGO, and we try to have all this bloodsucker stuff, even though we don't really need to. I think it was just because Nasu's last game was a vampire game. We felt the need to keep vampires in it somehow. But also, I said, a touch can degrade the physical body and absorb it directly, like drinking a smoothie, spider style. So, this would probably be a, not literally vampirism, but a vampirism-like effect, charge down an enemy, gain NP, probably some extra debuffs. And in fluff, it's, she has the physical power to generate mana by absorbing it. It can be both, obviously, consuming, living beings' bodily fluids, but also just goop them. Possibly danger hugs. Be careful. Watch out if you don't want to become a spider smoothie. Generally good advice. And then, last unique skill, Spider's Web A+. So, in my own fluff, I wrote this down, possibly a remnant of the authority of a spider goddess, or maybe the charisma of the Spider Queen. Spider Queen being a very recurring fantasy motif. Basically, as a servant, Jorogumo can command, smaller spiders. There's some very interesting illustrations about this. I suspect this would be some of her, attack animations would be, sending out little spiders on a string kind of a thing. Spin her own webs to bind enemies and pull them in. And just because, I like this kind of thing, use her magical energy to cause spiders she summons to detonate. Exploding spiders.
Jesus.
Listen, Deidara in Naruto was cool. With his little clay bug bombs. I am imagining... I'll talk about visual notes later. Because, FGO has that... actually, all servant profiles have those kind of, tools and armament section. I did write down spider limbs in there, so I'll talk about some of my ideas later. But also, her webs can bind metaphysical things, like dreams even, because that actually is another one. One of the legends in the Edo period was a guy dreams about a weird woman trying to get married to him, and he's like, I'm already married, and then his wife wakes him up, and he's just sitting on the porch, and there's, a spider spinning a web over him. So, just lots of general themes. One of her, maybe her extra attack, or maybe a buster attack, is absolutely just pulling a giant tree stump out of nowhere and smashing somebody with it, because that's one of the legends, yoinking a tree stump in there. So, Noble Phantasm, and guys, hold on to me on this, and this is why I say there might be some other classes. We could maybe do some Forerunner stuff here. Because this one is called Alathnaka, the Spider of Leng. It is an A-rank anti-fortress Noble Phantasm. And I got this if you're curious, I decided to do this reference because there is technically a very old school and I believe well-known, slightly horror-themed, as many of these are, Japanese eroge called Alathnaka, where the main character is a Jorogumo. But also, Alatnaka is the name of, like I said, the Lovecraftian, spider lady, mother of all spiders, ruler of the Plateau of Leng, constantly weaving webs to connect the dream world to the dreamlands to reality kind of shit. And is portrayed as a enormous spider with a human face who is large enough to, like I said, physically bridge a canyon. So, if you can imagine a giant spider that could, touch both ends of the Grand Canyon, pretty eldritch. So, this is basically an ability she uses her divine abilities and, like, her very, very low ranks of divine authority and her shapeshifting to marshal her magical energy and transform herself into a demonic, enormous spider with a human face and human hands. Strong enough to destroy castles and lots of other fun stuff. That's why it's anti-fortress. If y'all remember the Spider Lady boss fight from Okami, that's what this is. I know what my references are. I also mentioned, covered in spines, armored, so it's hard for anyone to damage her if they don't use a noble phantasm. Poisonous to the touch, spreading, contamination wherever we go. Kind of very thematic for, like, a degraded goddess in Shinto to switch from, like, purity to corruption and poison. It's a very powerful form, but obviously it burns through magical energy fast. So I would assume this would be, like, probably a Buster AoE. You could make, like, a quick as the sneaky thing kind of, going on there. But probably an AoE, turn into a giant spider, smash up the enemies, probably poisons them. Maybe lowers defense or something. Maybe raises her defense. That seems kind of fun for, like, berserkers. And like I said, I wrote this profile a while ago. I think the way I would have originally imagined it, it would probably be, one of those classic moves. You have, like, First Ascension is just, hello, I am a perfectly normal Japanese woman in a kimono. I am not a spider. Maybe put some, like, proper motifs on the kimono, and then as you go up in the Ascension, it's, like, chitin on her arms, extra, the 4 spider limbs out of the back. I wasn't originally thinking... Yeah, it's a good one. Obviously the I am a giant spider with a human face and human hands is, her NP form. But, honestly, since I've written this profile and thought about this stuff, FGO has done a lot more with Ascensions and weirdness. For instance, Kyokoyo's first Ascension is T-Rex. You could probably also just straight up have the classic, arachne-type monster girl thing, aka the Drider build, where bottom half is a spider, top half is a lady. Like, that could be a separate sprite, right?
Well, it's already been happening. Like, look at Chiron.
Yes. Chiron has that switch as well. Ibuki Doji has a very, she's got small snake lady form, and then, hello, I am huge. Huge. So, like, as I said, I wrote this one. This is I think one of the first ones I did. It's just, it's been like 2 years, I think we've been doing Fanservant Friday, and Jorogumo never won. But it's been in, like, my original lineup. So, since, a couple of years in development, they have definitely gotten more consistent about just being, like, crazy Ascensions. I definitely, like I said, one of them, and I think it should be the early one, is just perfectly normal lady. Nothing weird here. And then it's like, oh yeah, no, I'm a spider. Whoops.
Whoopsie.
So yeah, that's what I got. And like I said, the Alatnaka, like, equivalency is just an interesting, basically a meme and a commentary on a lot of the hijacking that happens in a lot of these things. But you could also totally, like, respin this from Berserker to, like, Foreigner and make it explicit, as opposed to just, we call this form Alatnaka because that's just how, mystery-wise. She could, pick a different name to go along with it. We also hide cover names. I'm sure there's plenty of puns we could work out. Personality-wise, I'm kind of imagining, like, what you'd expect, like, a little bit of the, like, poisonous friend kind of deal. Like, she seems nice, she's willing to do you a solid, but also, like, hey, master, wouldn't you like to, enter my web? You'll be fine. It's fine.
Something, said the spider to the frog.
Yeah. Step into my parlor.
No, the scorpion and the frog. The scorpion frog motif is, well, it's not the same kind of thing.
The Aesop fable of the scorpion and the frog is, like, talking about, the nature of creatures and the aspect of trust.
Yeah.
The frog says to the scorpion, yo, scorpion, I know you sting people. If I let you ride my back, you will sting me. And the scorpion is like, nah, fam, and then they get halfway across, and it's like, oh, I stung you. And then the frog is like, scorpion, why have you done this? now we're both gonna die. And the Scorpion, in the original fable, the Scorpion is like, yeah, sorry, scorpions. What the fuck did you expect? I personally, I've talked about this before, I like the Legend of the Five Rings version, where the Scorpion says, "Little frog, I can swim." And it just turns into a fucking unsheathed katana, nothing personnel kid. But yeah, no, it's not so much like, I'm not imagining like just a straight up, oh, you know better and will eventually get stung. It's more just like, you know,
if you're not careful, you get et.
Yes, like that's why, like, again, part of why she's classed as a berserker. It's, you know, there are a lot of speculations for why various, you know, demonic creatures and yokai and weird things need to like eat humans or whatever. And obviously, as a contracted servant, she's probably getting enough magical energy to stay manifest, but, like, just because of the way she's recorded, it will be, like, you know, I mean, she doesn't have to goop all your mana, just a little bit. I'm just a little peckish, you know?
You gotta remember, and this character wouldn't be the first one who just wants to straight up fucking eat you. Gorgon is constantly fucking hungry.
Yes.
Literally.
Gorgon is threatening you.
Yes.
And there's, like, lots of other, you know, possible, you know, mistakes that could be made with characters. There's lots of other dangers. Obviously, I think, like, because, yeah, Shuten's nature is also... Shuten also being another great yokai.
Yeah, and I think Shuten, that's just Shuten's nature, just to, you know, kill.
Yeah.
And pillage.
Just to constantly be... And also to constantly be sassing you about it.
Yes.
Like... And like I said, you gotta remember, the name Jorogumo for this yokai is, like, it is a multi-level pun. It is literally, you know, woman spider, but also has this, like, entangling newlywed, you know, like, there's multiple layers here. I could easily see, you know, doing the thing many servants do, where she is just like, I'm your wife. You know, being, like I said, I imagine her being kind of, like, very buddy-buddy, very pushy about intimacy, but also, like I said, like, if you were to actually, like, not just be like, whoa, calm down, we've just met, you know, it's dangerous, but it, you know, does it have to be dangerous? Like I said, that one woodcutter, you know, thought it was cool. He was into spider ladies, and everybody else was telling him, like, dude, it's probably not a good idea. You are a human. This is a spider lady. And he was like, I don't care. I'll jump in the well. It says something about the nature of your relationships when a mountain tengu is like, well, he died. That was him committing suicide, basically. He jumped in, and
Mountain
Tengu
was all like, no, you cannot marry the spider lady. He's like, no.
Yeah, he jumps in anyway, and that's just, like, the way it goes. I do not believe, because that is, like, an oral tradition around a specific waterfall in Japan. I don't think there's any, like, clarity about whether that's, like, well, it was a trap to lure him in so he died, or just he jumped into a waterfall. What did you expect, you know? Kind of a thing. But like I was about to say, it says something about your relationship advice when a mountain tengu is like, no, bro, I don't think that's a good idea.
Excuse me. Ooh. All right. My nose has recovered.
I like classic yokai stories. There was a lot, and I mentioned, you know, a lot of famous, basically Edo period monster manuals. That was a big time for, like, actually writing down lots of folklore and myth with illustrations. Here, chat, have a famous illustration. This also gives you some idea for, like, what I'm thinking about with, like, different attack stuff. It's a spider lady in a kimono, but she's got spiders on strings coming at you.
I would need to have some lines about how, like, coffee, she really fucking likes coffee. If you don't know, caffeine actually affects spiders really fucking crazily.
That sounds like a fun, like, maybe mid-level Bond, like, My Room line. Oh, what is this? Coffee? It's great. The actress, you know, the VA drops the act and, like, starts to speak at a mile a minute or something.
Mm-hmm.
And this, by the way, for some color scheme stuff, this is the, apologies, by the way, if anybody is skeeved out by spiders, but it's just a still image, so hopefully you'll be okay. But this is the actual, the real-life Joro spider, Trichonophilia clavata. It's one of those striking black and gold spiders.
Ooh. Are they venomous?
I believe so, because they're an orb weaver, but, well known in Japan because it's got large size and bright colors. You can find them in America, thanks to imports. Let's see.
That spider had one hell of a boat trip.
Yeah.
Wow!
Yeah, it's an orb-type web. 3 layers, very complex. Yellow and dark blue.
Like
yes, they are poisonous. They have a painful bite, but is non-life-threatening. They are not aggressive, but will bite for self-defense. And they... Oh, actually, it's interesting. So, here, you get some extra fun facts. Japan is actually using this strain of the species of spider to do some experiments with artificial spider silk.
Makes sense.
They have injected silkworm eggs with Joro spider genes and produced silk cocoons that are about 10% of the spider protein.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And it's already getting you higher quality products. They said that apparently they had spider silk socks by 2010, but even Wikipedia is like, yo, this needs an update. So I don't know how well that's going. But yeah, it's very interesting that they're able to, like, that there is actual science-ass shit happening with this spider species.
Ooh, very neat.
Sorry, I was slightly distracted by Twitter because Van Gogh is trending.
There's a fake stuff?
Mostly, but there's some actual, like, Van Gogh art in there. I believe a lot of that has to do with, some of you may know about this, there is a very recent trend. There is a specific group of climate protesters who have been throwing food at famous artworks, which included Van Gogh's sunflowers. And in general, it seems like most people on the internet are like, okay, yo, we understand, but, like, attacking famous portraits is not the way to go about this, fam. Which is my personal opinion. Like,
yeah.
Oh, is it fun by oil companies? That's fucking hilarious, if true. I will not claim that to be true. I saw some news stories about them, but did not hear that yet. But, yeah, no. If it's a false flag, that would be very funny. It feels like a false flag because it's very dumb. Like, listen, I understand the message, you know, is a painting worth more than a like? People are starving. There's a lot of energy concerns. You know, a lot of people were concerned about that kind of stuff going on. Though, admittedly, as in Europe we move into winter, I believe a lot of people are happy about the milder winter. I think natural gas prices in Europe are currently in the negatives. They have so much natural gas they can't even store it all, so they're giving it away. They'll pay you to take it. But definitely the attitude of, even if they are, like, protected and, like, I believe the museum in England that has it said that the actual painting of Van Gogh's sunflowers is lacquered, so it's basically self-protected. Like, it's just not a good look, y'all, to be attacking. Like, if you're like, is a piece of art, you know, worth people's lives? Well, not normally. That was not a light spray paint of that car dealership. I have seen the clips. They also attacked, was it a Monet or was it a Manet? Fuck. God damn it. I took 2 semesters of frickin' humanities and I can't remember the difference between Monet and Manet without looking at it. But looking at their paintings, I definitely can't tell it looking at their names. They're literally the same except for one vowel. But yeah, they were able to protect it a little. But yeah, it's just like, if you're going to attack famous culture, that's different. That's like the heritage of humanity there. You know, that's a single artwork. That dude is dead. He can't make more paintings. Very valuable. I mean, yeah, yes, it is. It's obvious clickbait bullshit, but it's not. Nobody seems to think that this is the proper way to do that. But yes, I suspect that is partially why. In addition to obviously some fate stuff, there's also people just tweeting about Van Gogh art. Because it's good art. Yeah. All right. But that's Fanservant Friday. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Have another poll for you soon. Also consider supporting us on Patreon, not only to vote in Fanservant Friday polls, but also get access to videos early, that same 5 and up level, because our levels are 1, 5, 10, 20. At 5 or higher levels, you can also get access to videos early, which will include Wanted. Wanted Nemo was posted, was it technically a couple of, yeah, calendar-wise, it was a couple of days early. Over 24 hours straight time, because, you know, midnight releases and all that. So you'll also probably get access to the Van Gogh Wanted early, though obviously you may be in for spoilers, so watch out for that. But you can get access to a bevy of stuff, including being part of our peanut gallery here at the 10 and higher level. You can listen to this show get recorded live every week and join in the crew of people who yell at us, we yell at you. Sometimes we don't remember things and you tell us them. It's all good. It's a symbiotic relationship. But I think that is a good general wrap-up notes. Recording for about 2.5 hours. That's good. Hopefully it doesn't take me too long to edit and string this video together. But with all that, I will obviously give you guys the general calls to action vibes. Don't forget to give this video a like. Leave a comment if you want to. We always ask you about lots of things you can comment about. Obviously, you can save some of your questions for our mailbag post, usually Wednesdays. You can make it for sure Wednesdays if you get on our Discord and remain lucky. But, you can also leave us comments directly on the video. That helps engagement, and I'm sure there's plenty of things we've talked about that people are, interested in. And don't forget to subscribe. I think our subscriber numbers are actually, leveling out where it's correct. YouTube has been giving me some really weird reads on the stats, but I think it's getting out there, so we'd love to start gaining again, as much as I hate to lose our beautiful 69. there's nothing more than the audience loves than to disappoint me by making numbers weird. So give us more subs. You can also check out other stuff we're doing. I've mentioned a few things there in there, but obviously check out Wanted Nemo if you haven't already. It's a pretty decent breakdown on Nemo as a character and as a unit. Spoilers, you're going to need some water. But we also have other stuff going on. While it was a little short because we did tune into that FGO stream that did start late and run long, there was a Final Fantasy XIV stream this week. I stream it every week, at least once a week. Probably need to figure out when it would be a good time to pick up the pace on that a little, but we'll see. I also enjoy spending a lot of time playing Zomboid with Lucky. Hey, we did a Project Zomboid stream a couple weeks ago. That was cool. Y'all like that one. You can watch that some more. We also, currently though, our stream series on Monday is Plague's Tale Requiem. We just started, got a few hours in. Had to cut that one a little short too, but it's still 3 solid hours. The internet melted a little.
A little bit, yeah.
Though it's funny, like I said, Lucky, I've been seeing some YouTube ads for Requiem. You know that part we did a little earlier where they teach you how to first combine the extinguish with the pot? That's in the trailer.
Yeah. Oh, really?
Literally that moment where you blast those two guys, that's a trailer shot. It's very funny. I recognized it myself when I see that ad pop up. I'm like, oh yeah, we did that. Hopefully we can get to the other 6 stuff they show, like bows and arrows and killing dudes.
Well, as long as the internet behaves and we don't have to go trekking through fucking butcher slop again.
Yes, that is also... watch that stream if you want to see a moment where Lucky has to take a breather because he nearly loses his lunch.
Yes.
It's Plague's Tale, so it's a little goopy. Some rats, some goop. But check it out. And we've got some other stuff that comes out during other streams, other things we do. And make sure to check out our podcast, What's Up with Omega and Lucky. That is usually streamed live on Saturdays after Let's Talk FGO comes out to public on our YouTube channel. So that is a great time. Lucky plays video games. We talk about stuff during the week. I'm sure we've got all kinds of fun things to chat at you. Things going on, stuff happening. Japan is releasing a shitload of sales numbers about video game series, for instance, and I'm sure we'll have some stuff to talk about. But yeah, that's cool. Check it out. If you want to get Let's Talk FGO a little bit earlier, I mentioned you can support us on Patreon. That $1 level, $1 a month, or approximately $10 a year. There's some percentage discounts involved for yearly memberships. They are technically cheaper overall. You get access to our audio versions, downloadable, our entire back catalog, and those usually go up early. Technically, the audio version of Let's Talk FGO is the first thing I post because it takes less time than the video version. So you can check that out as well. And also consider supporting our channel via memberships on YouTube. Click that little join button. Get a membership badge. Get access to emotes. When Lucky can get down to clown on that tablet, there will probably be some more fun emotes. Though we already have quite a few. Some cool, fun emotes. Alright. Not our usual outro, but I think I covered all the major things as we roll into a new month. I would greatly appreciate your support, looking at the numbers. The views have been a little depressed in the October, not quite sure why, but we hope you'll be down to clown with us now and later. I'm sure we'll have a giant 9-hour episode. I am exaggerating. When Heian Kyo comes out, so, well, I joke about that. I don't know. Some of our episodes, we could actually have like a 4-hour episode one week and then a 5-hour episode the next week, and that'll make 9 hours. Anyway, the video will not actually be 9 hours long. That is a joke. Please do not ask for a 9-hour video.
I'm gonna ask for a 9-hour video.
Ask for a 9-hour video. God damn it. You just watch 9 hours worth of our content. Trust us, we have the backlog. Thank you. Good night, everybody. We'll see you guys next time for more.
Have a good evening, everyone.